Rain, but we'll watch the skies. This is 97.1 FM Talk Chief Meteorologist Amer.
You're connected to news and thought-provoking opinion that's censored everywhere else, but not here.
According to the eligibility requirements, minors as young as 15, so boys, can receive breast augmentation, or girls can receive double mastectomies. I don't even want to get into some of the details of what they're doing up there. But this is sick.
Unfiltered and unafraid. 97.1 FM Talk.
Springtime in St. Louis, and if you hate to paint, do what your neighbor Mr. Rob Miller from Harvesttown Auto Body in St. Peter's did. He called Rhino Shield. Rob, what was the thought process for going with Rhino Shield as a business owner?
My family's business is over 10,000 square feet, and it did not have the curb appeal I wanted.
Rob, tell everyone how the experience was with Rhino Shield from start to finish.
The process that I liked was when you came out, you gave me all of these options that would fit my building. Our building was really faded. I don't want to have to paint my building again. 25 years is a long time to not have to worry about the outside maintenance of your building as far as paint. That's a no-brainer. That's why Rhino Shield worked for me.
Are your neighbors jealous?
I would be if I was them.
Thanks, Rob. Now it's time to call 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com. Genius.
No pain, don't Rhino. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Del Walmsley and the Wealth Cycle.
This is the wealth cycle that I've taught for 30 years. Buy one house, 10 houses, an apartment, 2 apartments, 8, 20, 500 units, 1,000 units, 2,000, 5,000 units. And as you keep putting the money and the profits back in, you become one of those rich people. And much quicker than you'd even believe.
Learn Dell's Wealth Cycle at GiveMeTotalFreedom.com. Use promo code 2022. Save 60%. Code 2022. GiveMeTotalFreedom.com. GiveMeTotalFreedom.com.
Would you like a cleaning product that can be used in the garage, the laundry, and the kitchen, and save space in your cabinet? Hi, I'm Bruce Fabrizio, inventor of Simple Green. To learn more, visit us at simplegreen.com.
Tony La Russa here. Men, are you running out of stamina rounding third base? If so, call my friends at Victory Men's Health in O'Fallon, Illinois. Scoring at home is important, just as important as crossing the plate with the winning run. VictoryMen'sHealth.com.
Keeping you connected and aware.
In the world, the country, and the community.
And offering more ways than ever to listen conveniently. Tell your smart speaker to play 97.1 FM Talk or download the Odyssey app.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
Right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on a Saturday, and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
I was on a panel with Secretary Wetzel earlier before the pandemic hit, and he said something remarkable that I agree with. He said, we could reduce our prison population by a third and not make anyone less safe in Pennsylvania. And that's a profound statement.
So that is candidate John Fetterman, who's running for Pennsylvania Senate. This guy's got some issues in this campaign. He suffered a stroke. Was it right before the primary? I think, Brad, it was. Yeah, he did. And he won his Democrat primary. He's a Democrat running. And he has not come out into the public to do any campaigning since then until I think it was last week. And it did not go well. We had the sound pulled for that, I think. And it's sad to listen to. I don't know. I guess it wouldn't be bad for me to play it. I'll tell you about it. You can Google it and find it. But the man just had a stroke. And many of you understand what it's like to be around someone who has had a stroke. He stumbles over words. You can tell he loses his place. He strings together thoughts that aren't really coherent. And I know that this is stuff that we see going on in the presidency on a regular basis, but Fetterman's a younger man. I'm guessing he's probably mid 40s. And he's the one who is challenging. That's Dr. Oz, right? In that case, in that race. So the Pennsylvania Senate candidate, John Fetterman, says we could reduce our prison population by a third and not make anyone less safe. Look around the country right now and just, absorb that mentality, that attitude where you're centering your focus around decriminalization. Can the argument be made about decriminalizing some drugs, marijuana being one of them, which coming from the state of Illinois, we've certainly done that. Missouri is discussing doing that. The idea of decriminalization, but it's run amok across the country in these deep blue cities. St. Louis is absolutely one of them. We, of course, hear about Los Angeles, Chicago, New York City, and I'm sure that there are many, many, many other cities across the country, Seattle, Portland, Minneapolis, that are being run in the same capacity with the same mentality as what we see right here in St. Louis. And what it ends up doing is making your community less safe. When you boil it down to a political talking point, you have someone saying, we could shrink the prison population by a third. Well, nobody would be less safe. Okay, political talking points aside, which I disagree with, political talking points aside, you are not prosecuting violent crime. The country is now being led by the George Soros-funded DA mentality like we have in St. Louis with Kim Gardner, like they have in LA with Gascon, like they have in Chicago with Kim Foxx. These people who are supposed to be there to protect the community with the law. The law is the thing that is in place to keep you safe. The law does not exist without people to enforce the law. You have prosecutors who want to protect the criminals and not the communities. That's very obvious. I don't need to relitigate all the specific details across the country for you to know what I'm talking about and be thinking of your own anecdotes that you've seen or experienced or have loved ones in these cities across the country. And it's a disaster area. So how do we get from the reality of what we're living here in St. Louis or what's going on in LA or New York City or all these towns that I've already listed? How did we get to this point from the previous statement, that flashback comment that we just aired there from Pennsylvania Senate candidate John Fetterman saying, these people don't all need to be locked up. We've overextended the legal system. And we have people behind bars that haven't committed violent crimes, and we could rehab these individuals and make them productive members of society. We don't have to put them in prison, and government has come in and taken away the freedoms of these people who should be rehabbed or charged with misdemeanors or whatever. It's because the political talk is obviously incredibly different than the political action. What we see when these people get in their position of power, what we see when they become office holders, is it's like they're making good on the promises that they didn't make to the people, on the promises they made to the people who got them elected behind the scenes with checks that they've cashed, with deals that they've made. And it's all political. That's how the money and the politics go hand in hand. They are inseparable. And at the end of the day, when that power is achieved and that election is won, and you've got people who are trying to fundamentally transform the United States of America, direct quote, and you're looking around at each other going, I didn't think that this is the way it was going to go. What ends up having to happen is people like you have to stand up and say, no, we're not going in this direction anymore. The second that you stand up and make that case, what does the other side do? They make it about race. They take off the pressure of the situation that you're highlighting. You're saying our communities are not safe. I don't feel comfortable and secure walking the streets of my city. People are getting hit by stray bullets in their beds. Children are under fire. These are all obvious things to anybody who's paying attention. These are all obviously bad things. These are all obviously things that anybody with 2 brain cells to rub together should have the common sense and decency to say, we have to fix this. It's obvious. Full stop. That's why I don't feel like I would be insulting you if I came on here and started listening like, oh, you don't believe me? Let me tell you about Chicago, and then tell you about the tens of people each weekend that get gunned down or mowed down just because they're in the wrong place at the wrong time. Yeah, they're in the wrong place. They're in Chicago. Yeah, they're in the city of St. Louis, and it's dangerous here. You run the risk just by existing here. You think I'm like, am I going to walk into the studio today and enlighten you and inform you as to how bad things are? You already know. Everybody knows. Again, it's obvious. So how in the world can this experiment, this political experiment that has started in some very prominent, incredibly liberal cities, let's say San Francisco, a beautiful city, I'm told. I've never been there, but you know what? I have absolutely zero desire to visit there right now. They need to get their act together. Do you think I want to go wade in feces and drug needles with my family to see one of America's historic cities? I just don't. I'll wait until it gets its act together. And if it doesn't get its act together, I don't need to be there. I'm not taking that risk. This is all incredibly obvious stuff. How do you take a mentality that flies so in the face of what is obviously bad to anybody? Even the criminals know how bad this is. You know why? Because they're studying it. They're figuring out how to use this new system to benefit themselves. How do you get to a place where it's happening, in this small city or this large city here and this large city here, but then it starts spreading to all these other ones? You keep people from speaking up and stating the obvious. You create a scenario where you pile a ton of money into winning a few races here, you develop a system, and then you get your political talking point going. And you realize that the only defense to somebody who's going to state the obvious is to go ad hominem, which is to say, you're not going to, if somebody's going to challenge the way Kim Gardner is protecting the city of St. Louis, or Kim Foxx or Gascon or any of these individuals who are charged with prosecuting crime, for anybody to go challenge that, the only way that they would defend it is they'd have to explain how it's good, and they can't because it's not good. Again, it's obvious. So they can't defend it. In fact, they don't even care to defend it because that's not what any of this is about. This is about power and money in their pockets. You are the collateral damage of their power-hungry, money-grubbing pursuit. So in order for them to defend against the attacks, you know what they're doing? They got to defend themselves and their own personal lack of integrity. And so what they do is they attack you, not your issue, not the obvious nature of how bad things are right now. They attack you, and they tell you if you were to push against the way they're monitoring our crime system today, then you are a racist. And you say, but wait, what about black on black crime? What about the concern that we have about percentages of race differential between population and crimes committed? Nope, that makes you even more racist. So what are you going to do? Well, you shut your mouth because you're not a racist and you don't want to be called one. And you don't want other people to be hearing that you've been called one. But meanwhile, your communities get more dangerous. You're more scared. And you look at your children and you wonder if they're safe. And you think maybe I should speak up. But you don't. We've been going through years, I would venture to say probably 15 years of keeping our mouths shut because we don't want to be called names that can elevate to the position of canceling you just like that. We've given into the fear tactics that the other side has employed. And now what is so obviously true, and I'm not just talking about from a crime standpoint, what is so obviously true across the board. People want to speak up on issues. They have real, honest, private thoughts and opinions on it, but they are not going to speak up on it. Why? Because now your political positions are the essence of your virtue. The way you espouse political thoughts and ideals immediately is the most important thing and currency in social virtue. And the only way that the left can successfully get to the point where that is the most valuable currency that exists, and the people who differ or disagree in perspective or opinion or moral foundation, the people who disagree from what the progressive left is pushing, they are too scared to speak up because the other side has so much power. I think about the obvious statement that we scientifically, biologically have two sexes. There are two. The statement that there are males and there are females scientifically is provable. The idea that people who are scientifically male or scientifically female may mentally and intellectually not identify with one of those things is absolutely real. The idea that in your head you could not feel like you fit the societal norms of what is defined as masculine or what is defined as feminine is real. There are people who have that. There's a diagnosis for that. But once you wade into these waters, you quickly understand that as they have set the rules, and the number one rule is if you don't agree with us today, not even this week, today, because folks, the rules change. If you don't agree with us today, you just sit this one out. And I'm not talking about identifying as, I'm not talking about people who identify this way. I'm just talking right now about the way the conversation is had. You can have a man who identifies as a woman and appropriates all of the things that are feminine in order to espouse how he internally identifies. And when he appropriates feminine things, maybe longer hair, maybe lipstick, maybe curves, maybe certain types of clothing or shoes or, makeup, all of those things, because he feels feminine. Let me ask you this. If I come on here on any given day and explain femininity to you as I see it, if I come out and define femininity in women as those exact same things, I can get canceled because I boxed in femininity. We can have two people on different sides of this issue describing the same thing, femininity, in the same way, but because I would be a cis female, which is to say I was born a female and I identify as a female in the language that is used when these things are discussed. If I were to say, well, this is what I think femininity is, and, I have long hair and I wear makeup and I don't, but lots of women like to paint their nails and get manicures and wear clothing that makes them feel feminine and feel like a woman. If I'm to say that, somebody can legitimately in this world come up to me and say, well, you can't define what it means to feel like a woman. You can't tell us, you can't say for other people what it feels like to be a woman because that's just your personal experience with it. They'll attack me for it. But a man who wants to say the exact same things because he identifies as she, and she has appropriated these things, the hair, the makeup, the dress, and so on and so forth. The language here, folks, one of these is celebrated, amplified, put on top of the mountaintop to say, look at this brave woman, and the other, me in that instance, would be shamed for boxing in women for what they are. We are saying the same things, which means the words don't have definitions. There are good people in society's views, and there are bad people in society's views. And the thing that inherently makes me bad in that scenario, in the way that we discuss things in our society right now, is just who I am. That I identify and celebrate and love femininity, and I'm saying this for real. I think femininity is the most powerful thing in the entire world. It's brought down kingdoms. For me to come out and define it and be proud of it, like, I didn't even say that in the first part. If I'm just to define femininity and what it means to be a woman and what I do to feel like a woman and to be proud of it as a woman a born woman who identifies as a woman, I can be canceled for that. While a born male who identifies as a female could explain the exact same thing and get celebrated. That's just about power structure. And the only way that works is if one side gets to control how we talk about things. It is the same principle as the obvious nature of what is taking place in our cities across the country. What are we identifying as bad? What is crime? Who is being hurt here and who is being protected? And the systems that we have in a democratic republic government in the United States, where we put people in charge to represent us, not to rule us. What are they doing to serve the common good? None of that. None of the status quo as it is today on a Thursday in 2022, none of this changes back to some sense of normalcy unless you speak up without fear of retribution. And you will never be heard by anybody who's on the fence or anybody who's on the side if you don't speak up from a place of compassion, a place of kindness, and a place of genuine concern. You can't go out and try to win arguments. You have to go out and try to encourage people to see your side. Nobody does that right now. And if we would start engaging in that, I think it would probably be pretty powerful. We're going to take a quick break. Lots going on in the news right now regarding the Trump raid in Mar-a-Lago. Are they going to release the affidavit? Have they made the announcement yet?
They have not. They said it'll be probably a couple hours before they finish. So the trial's underway right now.
So it just started, and to determine whether or not they're going to release that affidavit, we're going to follow it all day. And if news happens, we will bring it to you. Hans von Spakovsky is going to be with us when we come back. We're going to ask about that affidavit. What would it tell us? What won't it tell us? We're also going to talk about Rudy Giuliani on trial or having to testify in Georgia. And then the head of, the Trump organization in New York?
Yeah, one of the,
he pled guilty
CFO.
to something this morning. Woo! Lots going on there. Those legal bills are piling up for the Trump family. Let's take a quick break and get the expert analysis from Hans von Spakovsky in a minute.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
Something I felt, here's what I feel, something that's real. I tried to sell my soul last night. Honey, you wouldn't even take a bite.
97.1 is St. Louis's radio destination for information with perspective. It's where St. Louis and beyond comes to talk. Right here, right now. This is 97.1 FM Talk.
Stewie at Stewart's American Mortgage wants to help you with your mortgage refinance on your house. And you might be thinking, Annie, this is not the time to be refinancing your mortgage. Well, I'm going to challenge that. It depends on your situation. If you have high interest credit card debt and you're looking down and trying to figure out, how am I going to get this paid down? Because interest rates, when they went up with mortgages, they went up with credit cards immediately. You need to make sure that you are staying ahead of your financial game. And if you have equity in your home, a lot of people have a lot of equity right now in their homes. You can go to Stewie at Stewart's American Mortgage. You can call him or you can text him at 314-324-4440. That's 314-324-4440, and ask him how he can put you in a better financial position to pay down that high interest credit card debt. I think student loans as of right now are potentially going to be back on to be paid here shortly. Maybe you want to get rid of those. Talk to Stewie about how he can help you. And when you use the bagel loan, you pay no fees that other lenders will charge you for. It's a great opportunity for you. It's a free phone call, 314-324-4440. Google the Bagel Loan, NMLS number 226715.
Have you been waiting for the perfect time to get your Missouri medical marijuana card? Today is the day at 420id.com. Dispensaries are open and inventory is in. 420id.com is a BBB accredited business with over 16,000 happy Missouri patients. If we can't approve you, you pay nothing at 420id.com. Open late every day until 9 p.m. Sign up for your Missouri medical marijuana card now at 420id.com and use promo code RADIO for $30 off today.
If you own a house in St. Louis and you want to sell it as is without any inspections or need to make any repairs, call Chris Buys Homes St. Louis at 314-782-8000 or at chrisbuyshomeStLouis.com and get your cash offer without any obligation, commissions, banks, or headaches. Chris buys vacant houses, inherited houses, fixer-uppers, beautiful houses, even the tenant won't pay their rent apartment. Google Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis. That's Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis. And check out the best reviews from satisfied customers. When you sell to Chris, you decide when you want to move, according to your schedule and your terms. Go to chrisbuyshomesinstlouis.com. Google Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis or call 314-782-8000. That's 314-782-8000. And get the offer you have been waiting for. Chris Buys Homes in St. Chris Buys Homes in St. or call 314-782-8000.
Hi, I'm Mandy Moore. We can do great things when we stand together. Stand Up to Cancer is closer than ever before to achieving its mission to make every cancer patient into a long-term survivor. So get on board and stand up to cancer with us. To learn more about how you can support this groundbreaking effort and get Advantage Miles, go to standuptocancer.org/American Airlines.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
On the day we wed, I was gonna love you.
Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Frey Show.
Wait till our wedding night. That's the first and the last time I'll wear white. So if the ties are bound, ever do come loose, tie 'em in a knot like a hangman's noose. 'Cause I'll go to heaven or
Yeah, so Alan Weisberg just pleaded guilty to 15 criminal counts. It's all part of this tax fraud indictment that he was charged with last year. Now, as part of this agreement, he has agreed to plead guilty against the Trump or to testify against the Trump organization when they go to trial in October. Weisselberg was one of the most senior officers of the Trump organization. He was leading the company with the former president's sons when Donald Trump became president and went to the White House.
So the ex-Trump organization CFO has pled guilty in a tax fraud scheme. He's going to testify in October. And we are going to definitely have to figure out what that all means, along with Giuliani, which is he's going to be testifying, as I understand it, here in Georgia. And then, of course, the big story of the hour, or the day, I suppose, is whether or not this court is going to release this affidavit for the public to consume. So lots going on in the Trump conversation right now. And we're going to get to Hans von Spakovsky to get to the bottom of this. Hans, welcome back to the show. We love having you here.
Well, thanks for having me.
When you are looking at all of these stories encircling the Trump organization, how do you prioritize what's in the public interest the most?
Having a clean justice system that doesn't target individuals based on a partisan basis. You know, the whole problem we have these days is based on our experience over the past 5 years is tremendous suspicion of the motivations of many of these prosecutors. You know, I'm not saying that the case against the Trump organization is somehow invalid or not credible. I just am very suspicious about it, given that, as you know, the prosecutors in New York, the prosecutors down in Georgia and Atlanta made it very clear that they were going after Trump because they didn't like him for partisan political reasons, not necessarily because they actually had evidence at the time that a crime was committed. And as anybody, you've heard this many times, a prosecutor wants to get you, they can indict you for eating a ham sandwich. So I'm just very suspicious, and I hope that these investigations actually are credible and that they produce real evidence of wrongdoing.
Hans von Spakovsky with us, the senior legal fellow at the Heritage Foundation. He's also a DOJ lawyer. Hans, when we are focusing in on the affidavit hearing, the Trump raid affidavit hearing, which is taking place right now, we might know in the next couple hours what the result of this is. Let's go to the very basics first. What is the affidavit? Like, give us the definition of what that means that could be released to the public, depending on what takes place at this hearing.
When law enforcement, in this case the Justice Department, goes to a federal court and says, we need a search warrant, in the application they describe, what the case is and why they have probable cause to believe that some kind of crime has been committed. But with the search warrant, they always have an affidavit from the actual law enforcement officer, in this case, the FBI agent, who has been investigating this, who swears under oath as to the truth and the facts supporting the application for a search warrant. In other words, if they're saying they have probable cause to believe that some kind of crime has been committed, that FBI agent has to go into detail of the facts of what supports that probable cause claim. And that's the key thing here that we really need to see if we want to be able to judge whether or not this search warrant was properly granted or should have been granted, rather than the Justice Department simply negotiating for the return of these documents or issuing a subpoena. And why in the world what was the sudden emergency a year and a half after he's already left office?
So is it factually understood that they've been missing the documents that they're seeking? When do we know that they realized, oh no, we think he's got some documents he's not supposed to have? Because I've heard many people talking about that gap in time since he left office to right now. When was there the discovery that, in theory, assuming that they have their accusations are accurate, when did they realize he had stuff he shouldn't have?
Well, that's what we don't know. I mean, it's come out that in January, the Trump organization returned multiple boxes of materials. We don't know what happened since then, other than there was a report that a DOJ lawyer from their counterintelligence division visited Mar-a-Lago in June and simply said, well, you just need to put a lock on the storage room where these documents are being kept. There's no indication that he said anything about, oh, you have more documents that need to be returned to the government. And that's why we need to see that affidavit. I want to see not only do they actually have any facts to support this idea that a crime might have been committed, but what efforts did they engage in to get these documents back without doing a raid with 30 FBI agents? And when did they first realize that there was a problem? Like I said, after a year and a half, what suddenly generated an emergency that caused them to have to stage a raid rather than just issuing a subpoena for the documents?
Yeah. Do you have a expectation as to whether or not you think this affidavit will be released?
Well, I would hope that the judge would do it because of the national interest in this news and in this story. Now, the Justice Department, as you know, is opposing this, saying, oh, this will compromise their investigation. Compromise what investigation? The whole supposed reason for it is he's got classified documents that he needs to return. Okay, fine. How is it going to get compromised? And if they don't want to reveal the source, that they supposedly have a source inside Mar-a-Lago that told them about this, fine. Blank out the name of the source. But we need to know why they did this and what the basis was for them doing it. And the way to know that is to see the affidavit.
We are speaking with Hans von Spakovsky. He is the author of a book called Our Broken Elections, How the Left Changed the Way You Vote. He's also the senior legal fellow at the Heritage Foundation. So, Hans, the other case that's going on right now involves Rudy Giuliani in Georgia and testimony he's going to have to give. What is that court case about, and what's Rudy Giuliani's role in it?
Again, I think, first of all, the particular prosecutor who's pursuing that is known as a very partisan prosecutor. And supposedly it's all about trying to interfere with an election. Well, what the heck is that supposed to mean? There's no state statute on interfering with an election. Candidates dispute election outcomes all the time. That is not a crime. I got to say, just from the outside, that this really looks like a partisan witch hunt and partisan vendetta, because I have not seen this prosecutor cite any actual Georgia state statutes governing elections that anyone is supposedly have violated.
Well, I think that all of these stories coming together at the same time is quite interesting. Is there any case that you've seen legal challenge to Donald Trump himself, his organizations, any of the stuff that's out there right now? Is there anything where you think that Donald Trump, the man, the politician, the president, is in more trouble with one case than another?
Well, the big one I would think actually is the case in New York where they're talking about tax evasion. Maybe the CFO of that company is the one who engaged in that. If that did occur, then the key question comes down, well, did Trump know about it? If Trump didn't know what his officer was doing, that he can't be found guilty of violating the law. But that's where this man's testimony is going to be very important.
Well, we're going to continue to follow it, and we've got the best, like you, Hans, on here to talk to us about it each week, and we appreciate you for that. Thank you for coming on with us today. Always look forward to it.
Great. Thanks a lot. Have a nice day.
You as well. Bye-bye. Hans von Spakovsky with the Heritage Foundation, heritage.org, if you're interested in that. And I'd encourage you to check out his book, Our Broken Elections. Quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk to Wiggins America, the source for what's happening in the world of social media and TikTok. We went and got our expert and dug him up, and he wasn't available, so we got Ryan Wiggins.
I was going to say, what?
I want to make him have a TikTok channel for the show just so that we can see what happens next.
Yeah.
But then I don't know that I want to be associated with what happens next. I'm sure it would be entertaining, and I'm sure it'd be one of those that you just sit there and watch video after video going, why am I doing this? But you can't stop. Wiggins America and terms of service. And TikTok, what are they doing and what are they taking from you? We'll find out with Wiggins in a minute. Don't go away.
The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
How about Albert Scott? Man, every time he steps in, the hair on the back of my neck stands up. And watching him take over that finale against the Brewers, and literally, I will never forget it.
Weekdays from 3 to 6 on 97.1 FM Talk.
Slim 180, easy to find online at myslim180.com. It's an easy website visit away from you going down the path to losing weight. I lost 22 pounds with the HCG program at Slim 180, and I would encourage you to check out what they can do for you. Maybe HCG isn't what you're looking for. Well, they have other multiple nutrition programs that can help you lose 3 to 5 pounds a week. When you go talk to them, you can explain them what are your triggers, what makes you want to eat poorly, or maybe you just don't eat at right times during the day, or whatever you think your issue is. You're going to sit down with Trisha or with one of the other experts at Slim 180, and they're going to walk you through where you've been, but also where you can go in the future with your weight loss journey. They are destination level place. If you're going to go there, you're going to find out these are the people who know how to do it. And then you're going to want to tell people about Slim 180. Reach out to them and find out how you can save money when you work with Slim 180 to lose the weight. You'll be very glad you did. They have 6 locations across the St. Louis area, but all the information, the hours and the locations online at myslim180.com.
Jules on Hampton in St. Louis Hills is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, and fine watches on site. Jules on Hampton is a premier jeweler with an exquisite selection of diamonds, semi-precious stone jewelry, and vintage watches. Their expert design team can restyle your jewelry to today's contemporary style. They also do jewelry and watch repair. Need extra cash? Jules on Hampton is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, and fine watches. Bring in your collectibles and clocks, sports memorabilia, and figurines too. Jules on Hampton, 4506 Hampton, just 3 blocks south of Chippewa. Call them at 314-752-5000. Jules on Hampton.
If you haven't tried out Zero Res or it's been months since your last deep clean, then now is the time to call. Get your entire home Zero Resified from St. Louis's best carpet cleaner and get the KFTK Mark Reardon special. 20% off all cleaning services. Call 314-474-2020 or book online at ZeroResSTL.com.
If your home needs an upgrade, don't get frustrated. Get solutions. Call Lakeside Renovation and Design to transform your space into the home of your dreams. Our custom carpentry work has been wowing homeowners for over 20 years. Whether you want a deck or porch, a gorgeous sunroom, a remodeled basement, or more, our award-winning team does it all with in-house skilled carpenters. We even stand behind our work with a lifetime workmanship warranty. Request a free consultation at 636-978-5000. You'll love your home all over again.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling Studio. Get in your comfort zone with a new HVAC system and see if you qualify for 0% financing and $100 to $900 in utility rebates. For details and a free estimate, visit aircomfortservice.com.
If it's bumper to bumper or smooth sailing, Sue Thomas has you covered with dependable traffic. Driven by Ambassador Midwest Floor Company, the best way to deal with in-home traffic. Experience more at Ambassador Midwest Floor.
Say, hey, now, baby. Oh, mama, don't play now, baby.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
Say, hey, now, baby.
Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Frey Show.
Now, baby. Tell me if you love me now, love me now, love me now.
Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. Apparently, I completely misunderstood what Wiggins America is about, so I can't really set it up. So I just have to go straight to
Wiggins.
Wiggins!
Well, this is based on a conversation we had yesterday. Remember the term FYP?
Yeah.
Do you remember what it means?
For You page.
You got it. For You page.
I still don't understand it, but
I guess on TikTok, there's a suggested videos page that's called the For You page, just like on YouTube. So it brings up things that thinks you would want to watch. Well, in light of looking up some of these terms, I discovered that there's one that's apparently going viral right now. It has everything to do with the way people work and the way they interact with work. And it seems to say a lot about the generation that we're in just as much as work. So you've heard of the term Great Resignation. That's something that we've talked about, I think, on Wiggins America before. And people deciding just to quit because they can make more money not working. This is different than that, although it's probably under the category of this great resignation that we're seeing, that we can't find enough employees and things like that. It's called quiet quitting. Any ideas or guesses as to what quiet quitting might mean?
I have one. I feel like it might be the same thing as ghosting, but you do it to your employer instead of
I would venture to say 80% of the people listening right now don't know what ghosting is.
Oh, okay. So ghosting.
But I agree with you.
Ghosting is whenever you just stop talking to somebody that you were either dating or as the kids say, talking to somebody that you have a romantic interest in, and you just stop talking to them and you don't answer them and you block them.
Why do we have to have words for all these things?
I don't know.
I mean,
I agree.
I don't know. Like, you come up with a catchy word for it, and then I almost feel like when you name it, it's like naming a cat, it never goes away, or a dog that shows up at your house. You name it, and now people, like, if it has a name, it has some sort of extra legitimacy other than just being an a-hole.
Yes. Yes, that's actually where I'm going with this. It gives things veracity that you probably before shouldn't have celebrated or given any sort of name to at all, because they're not great things.
Yeah, but I think we give names to things that aren't great things, like murderer.
Yes.
So it just, maybe it's just describing it, but I think it's what gives it veracity is the way people approach it.
I'm for broad labels of people. I say this all the time. You can be racist, you can be sexist, you can be homophobic, you can be whatever. If you're going to treat people a certain way and be less kind to people because they're different than you or they don't live the same life you do, then you're an a-hole. I mean, you can be an phobic or whatever it is. You can disagree with somebody else's life choices, the things they choose to care about and participate in, and they can disagree with you, and you can still be cool with one another. And if you want to be an a-hole about it, then guess what that makes you? An a-hole.
Yeah, it's really hard to disagree with, Annie. That's very, very true.
I just don't like the segmented, like, well, this is this kind of a-hole.
Yeah.
No, you're
Yeah.
all crappy.
Well, here's also what this generation will do.
I'm
via
really centering around one part of the body.
Yeah.
My assessment of this.
It's circling the
Toilet, like you said yesterday on the air, in a weird way.
This in particular to me is the way this generation will grab things. And maybe we've always done this, but it happens so much faster in public now with things like TikTok. So this term, quiet quitting, Brad, you were not too far off.
Okay.
Although the article, like that article you read yesterday, where it starts by saying one thing and by the end you're feeling completely different about it. Quiet quitting in this article is another way of saying, at the beginning anyway, that you have healthy boundaries with your work, which that sounds fine, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the way they define it at the beginning is remembering that a work contract, any work contract, is a business transaction between the business, exchange of money against something else, labor. That's what you're getting in return. Keeping in mind what you're being paid for and what you're not is basic common sense. Now, they go on, though, and they're saying, well, this quiet quitting stuff is actually pretty great. I work just as hard. This is a quote from somebody on TikTok. I work just as hard.
Twik-twak.
That's
where we should go.
And I still get just as much accomplished. I just don't stress and internally rip myself to shreds, and it's beautiful. These kind of things, that sounds fine. Putting up a boundary between your work and home is fine.
So they call it quiet quitting.
That's where it starts.
Oh, that's where I was going to say, I call that clocking out.
That sounds like having boundaries and having a good home work life
I'm
balance.
off the clock.
Yes. Now, where they've taken it, though, this generation.
Don't you wish this job will let you be off the clock? I am
we're just talking out
sorry.
Of theory. We never really leave. Is they explain that quiet quitting is simply when a worker deliberately doesn't work above and beyond their defined contractual duties. That means no coming in early, staying up late, no taking on extra responsibility. That means being as invested as the job requires and no more. And so now all these people are taking this and saying, well, then I'm doing quiet quitting because I'm not being paid a living wage, which is minimum wage, and therefore just showing up for work at all is not going above and beyond. So quiet quitting has this huge connotation now that can mean basically anything you want to, because if you're not being treated right, then you can say, well, I'm just setting up work-life balances.
And of course, that standard of being treated right is your thoughts on whether
completely subjective.
Oh my gosh, the losers.
I hate feelings and emotions. Like in the world where we used to just be like, you're a bad employee, you're fired.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then we did a story yesterday about a paraprofessional teacher who said that she could not come to work early when she was being requested to come to work early. Like, it never said that she was coming into work early, but they didn't want to pay her for it. If you're going to have if you're a teacher and all of a sudden they're going to have like a Tuesday meeting before school, you've got to go to that meeting and you're going to be, trust me, if you're being paid by the public taxpayer dollar in the teacher's world, you're getting paid for every minute that you are at work. Public people, not private. It's a major difference there. But she puts up a TikTok and she says, I'm a single mother. And she says, I have ADHD and work wants me to come in early. But I told him I can't. But the whole point of the TikTok video is she still has time to go get Starbucks in the morning. And like the entire article on that Yahoo News covers is telling her whole story. Well, her story is trash. She should have been fired a long time ago. The one part that we talked about yesterday in that story was she was saying that somebody turned in the TikTok video of her and they did it by taking a literal photograph from a phone of another phone because they weren't allowed to share screenshots or something. And in the midst of doing that, she's like, I know who turned me in. So what? Like,
it doesn't have to do with that.
They should have done it to your face. Like you with me. We're going to go talk about some things if you want to be here while we're going to do it. Like, stop being crappy workers. All these people care about, the only thing they care about is themselves. Everybody else in the world gets up in the morning to serve these people and their overinflated, bloated egos. That is going to be the death of society. Because if everybody's doing that, nobody is helping one another. And when it hits the fan, we're screwed.
And the thing about it, this whole thing that just blows my mind is because at the beginning of this, you said that they view work as a contract, a business contract.
Well, that's what the article says.
Yeah. Well, a business contract is something that two individuals agree to, two or more individuals agree to. The
That's
terms
one too many for these people.
On which they agree to. So now they're going back on the contract because they got hired and they agreed to the terms and saying, I don't agree to these terms anymore, and therefore I'm not going to honor my end of the contract. You either agree that at the time you got hired, this is the right amount of money for this job, or you don't, and you don't take the job. But you don't say, yeah, I'm going to do it, but I only have to show up to work because this is all they're paying me for.
Yeah, and that's where the article ends, because it starts with things that sound, of course, they sound like things you go, well, that's fine. That's having a healthy life. But it ends, I'm just going to read the end of this. People are sick of having to work in inhumane conditions for inhumane pay. Some workers are unionizing, some are winning lawsuits, and others are quitting. And TikTokers are quietly quietly quitting, which is basically going to work but not doing much. That's where they've taken this.
Bums.
Yes. And it's sad to see that this is really almost the state of not just a generation, but there's somebody writing this article, hooking you in and making you as an individual feel like, oh, I actually have the right to that.
There's so many people who are this age who think that this is crap too, though. There are so many people that are just going to work and going about their business, and they're not obsessed with themselves. They know that. I remember growing up as a millennial, and I guess, I don't know, I think I'm done growing up. I think I'm just here now.
You've arrived.
That's what I think middle age feels like. I'm just here. Anyway.
That's actually a pretty deep psychological dive.
I know it is. And I only got 2 minutes left. And I got to tell you about somebody who is actually, in fact, quietly quitting. We're going to not let it be quiet.
It's really important to see all these TV anchors, personalities showing themselves getting the shot. We've seen a lot of vaccine selfies from lots of folks at lots of different networks. It's been really inspiring to see. You know, the Today Show even brought the co-hosts outside for a live group vaccination this week. And Rachel Maddow on Friday on MSNBC talked about how she was really fearful of the needle, really worried about it. And yet it was important to get the shot, and she did. And there she is talking about it on air. So I say all of that to make the following point. Where are Tucker and Sean Hannity and Laura Ingraham? Where is Ainsley Earhardt and Steve Doocy and Brian Kilmeade? Where are the biggest stars on Fox getting vaccinated? I get it's a personal choice. I get that's between, the hosts and their healthcare provider. But everybody else is doing it, right, Matt? I mean, all across television, all these anchors are rolling up their sleeves. Why do you think we haven't seen the biggest stars on Fox News get vaccinated or show us their vaccine selfies?
That's from over a year ago. But why am I playing this? Well, Fox News reports CNN is parting ways with reliable sources host and media pundit Brian Stelter. CNN will end its Reliable Sources program on Sunday, August 21st. As a result, Brian Stelter will leave the company. We appreciate his contributions to the network and wish him well as he embarks on his new endeavors. Where are all those Fox hosts? They're still on the air. That's where they are. And Brian Stelter, go take some selfies and, virtue signal with all of that extra time you have. This is the day. If you've never watched Gutfeld before, I'm telling you right now, it's going to be a barn burner tonight.
All in.
Everybody who he attacks for being awful gets fired. I think he's set a trend here. Ryan, thanks for coming in. We'll talk to you in a little bit. Tyrus on the Annie Frey Show in a minute. Don't go away.
This is a great time of the year to upgrade the energy efficiency in your home with my friends at Window World. Mark Cox here to tell you more about my experience with Window World. They replaced a couple of windows at my house. They were just panes of glass. We wanted to be able to get some airflow into the master bathroom. They came out, they gave us a free estimate, and then had the windows at seams installed in no time. Very professional, lifetime warranty I get, and you get an extra double strength glass on their replacement windows that's not common. So you're getting a great price, simply the best for less. They do front entry doors, rear entry doors if you're looking to replace that back door or sliding glass door in your home. They've got a great selection at Window World. They're also right now offering 18 months, same as cash financing, of course, with approved credit. The preferred window of the St. Louis Blues, 314-993-1800, windowworld.com.
If you filed a tax extension in April, don't wait until it's too late to handle your tax issues. Hi, this is Lance Drury with the Drury Law Firm. Every year, thousands of Missourians file extensions when their taxes are due in April. But what people don't know is the extension only moves your deadline to file your return, not to pay your taxes. So if you didn't pay anything back in April, you could now owe taxes plus interest plus penalties. You think you bought yourself time, but really you've just added to the total bill. If this sounds like you, call the Lance Drury Law Firm today. I am a local tax attorney with an A+ BBB rating, and I will meet with you right away to help handle your tax problems quickly. The deadline to file your return after an extension has already passed, so call the Lance Drury Law Firm now before it's too late. Remember, if you have IRS issues, you have legal issues. Call attorney Lance Drury, 314-260-6120, or go to Lance, DRURY law.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
What's your favorite four-letter word? Chances are you've said it more than a few times dealing with this crazy world we live in. But at Compass Retirement Solutions, our four-letter word of choice is hope. Hope for a better tomorrow. And hope that your retirement plans don't take a back seat. You've watched inflation soar, and maybe your retirement future feels a little uncertain right now. But all hope is not lost. Find out exactly how much risk you're still taking with your investments. Find out how you may be able to save big on taxes. And find out how having a written retirement plan just might give you the hope you've been looking for. Call today to set up a meeting. 314-373-1598. That's 314-373-1598. Compass Retirement Solutions. 314-373-1598. Firm offers insurance services but does not provide tax advice. Investments and services offered through Compass Retirement Group, a registered investment advisory firm in Missouri and Illinois. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal.
KFTK FM Florissant, driven by the Bomarito Automotive Group. 97.1 FM Talk. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Arguments underway in Florida. Lisa Brady, Fox News. A federal judge will decide whether to unseal the affidavit that led to the FBI raid on former President Trump's Florida estate last week.
Lawyers for the 45th president and the Justice Department are in with the magistrate now, but shortly before the hearing began, Mr. Trump on Truth Social released a memo dated January 19th of 2021, the day before leaving office, in which he directs the Attorney General and the Justice Department to declassify the contents of files pertaining to Operation Crossfire Hurricane, the FBI investigation based on a now discredited report alleging the Trump campaign colluded with the Russian government in the 2016 presidential race. Those materials are thought to be what the FBI confiscated from the president's home.
Fox's Evan Brown at federal court in West Palm Beach. The former president has argued the documents seized in the raid were no longer classified. The Justice Department says unsealing the affidavit could compromise its investigation and put witnesses in jeopardy. Earlier today, Trump's longtime finance chief, Alan Weisselberg, pleading guilty in a tax fraud case, and he agrees to testify against the Trump organization. The man accused of stabbing author Salman Rushdie just appearing in court in Western New York, pleading not guilty to attempted murder and assault charges. The judge ordering Hadi Matar held without bail.
Just yesterday, Matar gave an exclusive jailhouse interview to the New York Post where he all but admitted to the attack. Matar told the Post about Rushdie. When I heard he survived, I was surprised, I guess. He went on to say about the 75-year-old author, I don't like the person. I don't think he's a very good person.
Fox's Brian Yanes. Matar calls Iran's Ayatollah a great person, but doesn't admit any inspiration from a death edict on Rushdie by the then Ayatollah in 1989. Iran has denied any involvement. America's listening to Fox News.
The roar of our engines, the pump of our heartbeats, the pedal to our metal, the sparks that ignite us, the pistons that push us, the passions that drive us. From the feelings that move us to the places that pull us on the roads that unite us. With nearly 6,000 stores and over 17,000 auto care centers, Napa has America's largest network of parts and care, here to keep you firing on all cylinders.
Every search you make, every click you take, they'll be watching you.
Are you tired of being tracked online? There's a simple solution. DuckDuckGo. It's an all-in-one privacy app with a built-in private search engine, web browser, one-click data clearing, email protection, and more, all for free. Download the app today and get the most comprehensive privacy protection with the push of a button. DuckDuckGo. Privacy simplified.
Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling weather with Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Our high temperature this afternoon should be hanging around 84 degrees, plenty of sunshine and nice humidity levels. Clear skies this evening and overnight, upper 70s this evening. We'll drop it back to about 62 for the low. Friday, partly sunny, looking for a high. Friday afternoon, 85. 85 over the weekend. Partly sunny skies, though. Each day could bring a spot shower, a thunder shower. No all-day rain, but we'll watch the skies. This is 97.1 FM Talk, Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
It's happening right here, right now.
Remember, the National Archives are the ones that referred this to the Department of Justice, but they, the same principal, failed to refer Hillary Clinton to the Department of Justice when they got their hands on the classified emails from those servers.
This has never happened in U.S. history, a president's home being raided. If these documents are so sensitive, nuclear secrets, why did the Justice Department wait so long? What's the urgency here?
This is 97.1 FM Talk.
Dak Prescott here. Why do I choose proven quality sleep from Sleep Number? Because better sleep elevates my game. Only my Sleep Number 360 smart bed helps me fall asleep faster, keeps me cool, and effortlessly adjusts for my best sleep. The result? 28 minutes more restful sleep a night. That's more focus, more edge, and more highlights. And that means more wins for all of us.
All smart beds are on sale. Save 50% on the Sleep Number 360 limited edition smart bed, only for limited time. To learn more, go to sleepnumber.com. Sleep Number, the official sleep and wellness partner of the NFL.
It's not easy being the one everyone counts on to keep the facility running, no matter the weather or supply chain hiccup. But we get you, Raymond in Buffalo, and Maria in Miami, Jules in Minneapolis, and Stan in Central Indiana, taking control of everything that's under your control. At Grainger, we're here for you with experienced branch staff at over 250 locations, so you get the product you're looking for. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
The only person who can change your life is you, but you need to know how. Listen to my show, The Del Walmsley Radio Show, where the hype ends and the help begins.
Listen to the Del Walmsley Radio Show this Saturday afternoon from 1 to 2 p.m. on 97.1 FM Talk.
The following is a commercial announcement.
There's nothing like hearing the songs you love on local radio with no subscriptions and no monthly fees. But there's a new bill in Congress that could stop the music. If passed, this bill would tax your local radio station simply to play the music you love. Text LOCAL to 52886 and ask Congress to support local radio stations. Help us keep you connected to the music, local news, weather, and traffic that you need each day. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
Mark Cox here. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call Thomas Helbig with the Retirement Advisory Group at 314-993-9494. He'll show you how to participate in the market gains without ever losing a penny. Thomas is the official financial advisor of the Mark Cox Morning Show.
If you use a smart speaker, you can listen to 97.1 easier than ever. Just tell it to play 97.1 FM Talk. Or download the Odyssey app for your phone and stream the station whenever, wherever.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what you're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
It's the worst type of politics. It's hateful politics to raise his national profile. And you know what? You should not be doing it by taking away the respect and dignity of people who are in need. What the Texas governor is doing is just so anti-American.
Have you spoken directly to the governor?
No, I have not. Our team reached out to him when we first discovered what he was doing. And we asked, let's coordinate, because crisis calls for coordination.
Do you hear the mayor of New York City accusing Governor Abbott of Texas of the worst kind of politics, suggesting that the reason why they're busing these migrants over to New York City, according to the mayor, it's to elevate the governor's political position. The question from the reporter there, have you talked to the governor? No, I have not. Well, why the hell are you talking to the reporter then? Have a conversation. You want to talk about crappy politics and people using issues only to elevate their own political position in the world? That's all anybody does. This is the Olympics of that crap. And, you got to wonder if you're in New York City, if you're someone who goes to New York City, are they comfortable with the level of crime there? Do we want to be busing people there? Are New Yorkers just content to say these people can be in the country, they just can't be around me? It's quite confusing. Let's talk to Tyrus about it.
You're becoming like my most stable relationship.
Enough said.
We'll be wrestling in St. Louis at the end of the month, and tickets are available right now at nwatix.com. Go get them before they sell out. Tyrus, welcome back to the show. Great to have you here.
Always a pleasure.
So you frequent New York City much more than many of us do, of course. And I saw a video shared from one of your colleagues, and she was showing the video out the window, I think at Fox, and there's just people meleeing in on the sidewalk, fighting each other in the morning. And she said, this is just what happens in New York City. Now you've got migrants being bused there, and Eric Adams is concerned. It sounds like the mayor there is just concerned about the politics of it. I don't feel like that's how things get fixed.
Yeah, he didn't call Governor Abbott. He said, my people. If you're trying to get things done, you pick up the phone yourself. You tell me the governor of Texas is not going to return your call. It is ridiculous. But, it's ironic because it's supposed to be a sanctuary city, correct?
Yeah.
So just so you know, when he's complaining about 4,000 immigrants, just today they caught over 4,000 in two places. That's just the ones they caught, not the ones that didn't get away. So it's a crisis at the border, and you want to do nothing about it. You want to do nothing to support Texas, Arizona, the states who are on the front line of this. And so you're a sanctuary city, so they'll start sending a small amount. 4,000 is a small amount. But if the immigrants knew better, they wouldn't be coming to New York.
Yeah.
You defunded the police. You've made the criminal the victim and the hero. So it is a rough time. I'm lucky I'm 6'8". I'm lucky I'm athletic, and I'm a tough out. But I also only walk half a block to work. I don't go anywhere else in the city. Everything I had to do is contain my gym's in here. I eat in here. I don't really go anywhere outside of New York. Not to mention just the fact that it's depressing to see this many lost people on the streets, not to deal with the opioid and crisis, and it's just a really, really sad time to see what is supposed to be first world country.
Yeah. I want to ask you this. It's a question that comes with a lot of pressure to answer these types of questions in the right way as to not offend people, which is why I'm asking you, because I know you'll just say what you think. But to suggest that immigration and the way that this country has welcomed people historically to the country, comparing it to what the Biden administration, the current situation we have on the southern border, is it right and good to call out the actual root of the problem, which is to say we should not have an open southern border, or is that too harsh to say in 2022?
No, well, I think we got to start saying things that offend people a little bit in the context of what's brutally honest. Just sugarcoating everything. All our borders, whether it's Canada, Mexico, they all should be closed. Just like when you go into there, we have to go through a process. So it should be across the board, universal, especially given with the way the world is today, with the situation in the Middle East, with the situation of how the world is looking at us right now. Mexico and Canada are ways for them to come in. If they're not flying in, they can do some bad things. And maybe it's 1% of 1%. I still would like a screen up. I still would like the ability to protect the people who live on the borders, who farm in that, who live in those communities. There's a lot of bad apples. We always talk about one bad apple. Well, you get, 60,000 people coming across in a month. There's going to be some bad apples in there. And these other governments aren't stupid. If you don't think they're emptying their jails, if you don't think they're sending bad people this way, if you don't think the sex traffickers are bulking up, if you don't think the drug cartels are expanding and getting bigger, the number of fentanyl that we find is astounding. That's not the one who's getting away.
Mm-hmm.
So there is, however you want to look at it, take immigration out of there. Let's just go with drugs. Let's go with human smuggling and trafficking. Let's just go with that. We need closed borders just as a deterrent, just to let them know that they can't just load up a van full of 12-year-old girls and just take them and run and drop them off somewhere.
Yeah.
So, you can write it down however it pleases you, but the bottom line is, in this day and age, we need closed, secure borders all the way around.
Yeah, it's just respect for the rule of law. And it's not like you're going to go to any other countries across the world and get treated with the same sort of apathy towards our national sovereignty that the United States will. I don't know why we are expected to follow that. It's just general courtesy. You have rules, you have laws, you ask people to obey them. It just seems as though this administration doesn't even want to identify their radio silence on this issue.
Because they're living in first world problems and they're unaffected. When the immigrants bust into Washington, D.C., they wanted the National Guard. As soon as they get affected, they want the full benefits of what it is to be an American citizen, but they're spit in the face of everybody else who's literally in it, who's lost a family member. Or even the immigrants themselves who are trying to find a better life. I have no issue with trying to come to this country. But having to give their lives or possibly lose their children to a sex trafficker, trying to get across the border, or have to go through a drug cartel, to where they have to become mules to get across the country. That's wrong. And the fact that they don't have any issue with that because it doesn't affect them. And it sounds good because they want to paint a picture that everyone who comes across is a happy-go-lucky person with dreams of working. In a lot of the times, they do have great intentions to be, and they do want a better life. But we're not doing anything to deter those people from being victims of these cartels, of these smuggling agencies. They don't just get them across the border and be like, thanks for your business. They're going to call them on them for a favor. They're going to send them back. They're going to have them house. It's so much more complex in terms of like just the ugliness of it and to pretend like it's not there. And even if it's not there, the idea, the opportunity is there, you need to continue. It's like, why do Americans have to be soft targets? Our schools are soft targets. Our border cities are soft targets. Why?
Yeah.
It's astounding to me. And it's only when they're affected do they care.
Yeah.
Adams is furious because 4,000 people that he'll never meet and never deal with were brought into his state, but he claims to be a sanctuary city.
It's the biggest frustrating part about this all to me is like even the phrase sanctuary city, that was something that came out years ago and really was another one of those fine examples of naming something that they in a way that they believe to be politically advantageous. You got Governor Abbott in Texas. Why not? Sending people to New York, sending people to Washington, D.C. People say it's a political move. Well, yeah, it's a political move. Texas has tried quite a lot of things to get people's attention, and it hasn't worked so far. But then you have Mayor Adams trying to make their own political move. And in New York City, they're putting them up in hotels. They're trying to actually have a welcoming crew of people there when they get off the bus to celebrate them. And at some point, when you're doing all this political virtue signaling, which is just done to acquire political power, not to actually help anybody, including the migrants who are fleeing third world countries to come here, nobody's being helped by this. Eventually, Tyrus, don't the American people have to wake up and say, we got to stop this. We got to stop with the sanctuary cities and the illegal alien, illegal immigrant or migrant or whatever we're going to call it. We spend so much time talking about words. The problem gets worse and worse and worse. There has to be an endpoint.
Well, unfortunately, what it has to be is Americans have to remember this when they go to the ballot box. And they have to leave, whether your favorite animal is a donkey or an elephant, you got to leave that in the bag. And you got to start voting at people who are getting people in the office that are going to do right in real world problems, who don't live in. Their biggest claim to fame is they changed the name from prisoner to incarcerated person.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's not a task. That's not an accomplishment. That's wasting our time. And you said it perfect. You can talk about 8 different ways to label something, but it's still the same crap in the box. And until we get people who are actually willing to get in that box and fix some of these problems, or at least try to. Like you're not sending the immigrants because they want to. They're overrun. It's a cry for help. Listen, if you won't deal with what we're telling you, you can see it firsthand.
Sure. Yeah.
And they don't like that. And That's rough for them. But at least when he's saying it, he's got a team of bodyguards, he's got press, he's in charge of the police force. Imagine a Texas farmer who woke up in the morning and literally is overrun by people coming across their lands, and if they, who knows what that situation is. I mean, it's always this unaffected wokeism in this country that is just, they don't live in a real world. And when these real world problems happen, they want to change the name of it. That'll buy them an extra 2 news cycles, so hopefully it will go away.
Yeah.
Hopefully they can get somebody canceled or a dumb allegation against somebody or something to that effect, so we'll spend all our time on that and not deal with the fact that our borders are in crisis right now.
Well, I'm sharing right now with our listeners on our socials and on our YouTube live chat, where we broadcast live every day, the link to the nwatix.com, where people can go get tickets to see you wrestling when you're in St. Louis. You and I are doing the show at the Wildie, sold out so fast. I have people reaching out to me all the time who still want to be able to see you in St. Louis. And I'm telling you, Tyrus, there are a lot of people who may not be, that are listening here, that love you, maybe never been to a wrestling event before, but would still like to come see you. Tell me a little bit about, if you go to nwatix.com, you get a ticket to see you wrestle, what kind of show is that going to be like?
Well, first of all, it's the main event of the whole week. It's going to be one of the toughest matches of my career. Not to mention that the after party, if we pull it off, or when we pull it off, we'll be kissing babies and high-fiving and autographing and talking to the audience a little bit. But you're going to go back in a time machine, and you're going to see wrestling the way it was back in the day. Big guys throwing blows. It's going to be physical. It's going to be fun. It's excitement. And you get a chance to see what you always want to talk about. Where did Tyrus come from? What is Tyrus about? These are my roots. This is what I did before you saw me sitting on the couch with Gutfeld or sitting in the studio with Miss Frey, so Mrs. Frey, sorry. But
Ms. is fine.
So it's a chance. We'll, you get to see me, and I'm telling you, I've been training. I'm literally on the bike while we're talking. I'm going to be in the best shape of my career, and and Trevor, I know Trevor Murdoch is 2-time NWA heavyweight champion, and he's from the area, but I think he's going to be on the road in this one. I think I'm bringing St. Louis with me, and it's going to be a great event, and I'm excited. I'm going to be here all week. I'm coming in Thursday. I've already getting. What sucks is that I'm training, I'm dieting hard, and all these great restaurants are inviting me for lunch and to hang out.
Yeah, I need to know. I need to know what you can and can't eat, because I want to expose you to some St. Louis culinary treats. So we'll have to get to.
I think
you're gonna be able to.
I'm going to do some sampling, just a little taste test, like
sure.
A spoonful, you know, and then just be miserable by myself, which will help me in the match. So,
have you ever had toasted ravioli?
No.
Okay. It's delicious.
It's wonderful.
What about gooey butter cake?
Yes, but I'm not opposed to having it again.
Yeah. That actually originated in St. Louis. Do you know what red hot riplets are?
Yes, I do.
Those, they're from...
like I said, this is going to be tough.
What about Budweiser? We got some of that here too.
After the match, yes.
Well, we are so excited to have you here, and I will be at the event as well when Tyrus wrestles, and I can't wait to see what wrestling looks like. One of my best friends he was over at my house a couple weeks ago, and he was like, I was here the last time. I was at the match when Tyrus was wrestling last time, and he's a huge fan. And so he was telling me about, and his wife was there and was talking about how exciting it is as a non-wrestling fan that she was talking about how actually entertaining this is. And for people who I've talked to who are into wrestling, they're so excited that you're coming to St. Louis, Tyrus. They're so excited to be able to see you again. And I'm excited. So for folks listening right now, nwatix.com. If you've never been to a wrestling match, I haven't either. Come hang out with me, and we will watch whatever it is that Tyrus is about to do. And
I'm gonna punch somebody I used to call friend in the mouth really hard.
Well, welcome to St. Louis.
Yes, that's how we do. Anytime we bring economy to a great city like St. Louis and surrounding areas is a good thing.
I think so too. Tyrus, we'll talk to you very soon. Get back to the bike. We appreciate your time.
Yes, ma'am.
Talk to you soon. Tyrus, his book is just Tyrus, a memoir. Now, I am going to, when at the event at the Wildie, if you were somebody who got those tickets, they sold out so fast. If you missed out on that opportunity, because I've talked to a lot of folks who were like, gosh, I had my husband told me that he was talking to someone just the other day and wanted to go and was like, I was going to buy tickets that weekend. They were gone. Stay tuned for that. I'm just going to say, put a pin in that and stay tuned because some cool things potentially are happening. However, going to the Chase to see Tyrus wrestle, I'm super excited about it because I've never experienced anything. It's a whole culture. Have you been into wrestling in your life at all?
There was a period in my life where I was heavily into it whenever WCW was a thing and Sting and Hollywood Hulk Hogan. It's when Hulk Hogan became a heel, which I didn't really like because he was always my favorite.
Yeah.
And that's kind of when I was in it. And then as that kind of dissolved, I got away from it. But I am definitely looking forward to this event.
So you're going to be there too, right?
I'm going to try to get some tickets and go.
Yes. So same. I would love to see you there. Please go to nwatix.com and get your tickets reserved and make sure that when you're there, I don't know what time I'm going to get there and be able to hopefully be there a little bit early. I don't know, but I'd love to meet you and cheer Tyrus on together. If that's what you do at a wrestling match. Do you cheer? You cheer. Yeah.
Oh, right? Yeah. You're loud. You're rowdy. You cheer your guy and you boo the other guy.
It's like politics.
Yes. It's like politics, but with more physical contact.
I mean, sometimes. Only not on the good days. All right, let's take a quick break. Go get your tickets on the break, nwatix.com. And when we go to the Wild event, that's what I was going to tell you about. I'm going to be asking him questions, a little deep dive into his book, Just Tyrus, a memoir. I bought the audio version of it. You can get the hard copy. That's the one that Brad read. Get it and read it. It is a great read. It's a great story. And it gives you a lot of underlying information as to how Tyrus got to where he is today. Let's take a quick break. More Annie Frey Show around the corner. Don't go away.
Anything less than the best is a felony. Love it or leave it. You better gain weight. You better hit bulls out of kids.
The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe. 97.1, your continuing home of free speech in St. Louis.
It's free and fair.
97.1 FM Talk.
Keep it locked in right here.
The place for discussion. The place for ideas.
Hey, this is Wiggins. Just before the show, I was actually talking to a friend of mine who owns multiple luxury vehicles, and I asked him, have you ever heard of Genesis? He said, yeah, actually I have. And I asked him what he thought of the brand. He said, it's actually a really nice car. He said, it's very young. And I think he meant two things by that. One is that it is a younger brand. So if you're not familiar with it, it's because it hasn't been around forever. It's within the Hyundai family. It's a luxury line within Hyundai, or kind of above Hyundai, I should say. But it is also young luxury. And it is a very, very nice automobile. I got to drive one myself. This is the most valuable insight you're going to hear today if you're looking for a luxury automobile. It's that other dealerships outside of Genesis of St. Charles are going to charge you more than MSRP right now. And that is tough to find somebody who's going to just shoot straight with you. They're not going to mess around. You're going to walk in the dealership, find the model you like, and it's just MSRP. You don't have to spend the whole afternoon doing that. That is easy on you. That's easy on them. And here's how you find Genesis of St. Charles. They are located in the St. Charles Hyundai showroom, part of the St. Charles Automotive Campus, just a quarter mile east of Mid Rivers Mall on Veterans Memorial Parkway. Visit them online at genesisofstcharles.com.
Summertime is no time to run out of energy, guys, and Victory Men's Health can help. Mark Cox here. Book your appointment today at any of their 3 locations. They're now in Wing Haven in O'Fallon, Missouri. They're in Town and Country in the original location in O'Fallon, Illinois. Victory Men's Health has 400 plus 5-star Google reviews. There isn't another men's clinic in town that comes close to that kind of rating. Book your appointment today online at victorymenshealth.com.
You've listened to 97.1 FM Talk. You've heard of Doug Voss of Voss Financial and Safe Money Radio, as he has been a staple as the financial expert on the station for many years. You can hear him on Safe Money Radio several times a week right here on 97.1 Talk FM. And you can talk to Doug Voss directly. Here's his number. Call Doug at 844-676-SAFE. That is 844-676-7233. Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through D.H. Hill Securities, LLLP, member FINRA and SIPC.
Rhino Shield is far superior to even the best traditional exterior house paint. Rhino Shield is 8 to 10 times thicker than paint and comes with a 25-year transferable warranty. Rhino Shield is the only ceramic coating company that has been chosen by Disney, This Old House, and 3 times on HGTV's Curb Appeal, where every episode is concentrated on unpainted brick, bonds and seals to stucco, wood, hardy, block, color lock, masonite, and more. No better product for those steel aluminum sided homes that have become, chalky and tired looking. We coat sloped and flat roofs to extend their lives too. After 15 years, we've got a great reputation and a superior product. As long as it's affordable, why wouldn't you do it? Before you make the costly mistake of painting with traditional paint, you'd be best served to call Rhino Shield today. We are the experts and our evaluations are free. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com. Tell them, ladies.
No pain, don't Rhino. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
SherryClean.com.
Look at this photograph. Every time I do, it makes me laugh. How did our eyes get so red? And what the hell is on Joey's head? This is where I grew up. I think the president fixed it up. I never knew we ever went without. The second floor is hot for sneaking out. And this is where I went to school. Most of the time I better things to do. Criminal record says I've broken twice. I must have done it half a dozen times. I wonder if it's too late. Should I go back and try to graduate?
This is the Annie Frey Show. Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Frey Show.
I think the burden is on the FBI to justify this raid. This is extraordinary. This is also the same FBI that used a foreign intelligence warrant to snoop on and spy on the Trump campaign, to investigate them for over 2 years. So I think the burden really is on the FBI. They've been wrong in the past. They've broken the law in using these foreign intelligence warrants. Now they use a domestic warrant, but I do think they need to release the justification for this, because this is extraordinary, and we should not lose sight of the fact this has never, ever happened before, for good reason, because we need to have confidence in the FBI. We need to have confidence in our intelligence agencies that they're there to protect us and not to go after people for political purposes. So the burden is on them to prove that this is not a politically motivated witch hunt.
Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. Just got done speaking with Tyrus, if you missed that, talking a little bit about the immigration concerns that are facing our country and the fact that they're shipping those individuals to New York City. Lots of politics that is certainly involved in that, but it is a key issue. And, when you look around the country and you see all of these crises happening from one place to the next, you say to yourself, who's in charge here? What are they doing? How are they handling the issues facing everyday citizens? And it's like their people are asleep at the wheel. It's very frustrating, isn't it? Well, that's today's YouTube live chat poll. And it's a kind of an interesting one, because we are asking you, here's the question: which Democrat would be the worst president? And I just put in there in order of the line of succession. That's the 4 people we picked, including Joe Biden.
Right.
So which Democrat would be the worst president? Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Nancy Pelosi, or Patrick Leahy? Patrick Leahy's number 4. That was brand new information to me last night at about 10 o'clock.
I was wondering why he was on there.
Yeah, wouldn't you?
Yeah, it's like, what? Why would they pick him?
Patrick Leahy? Who's talking about him being... Yeah, he's number 4, folks. Number 3 in line.
Does that make him what? Senate pro tem?
Yep. Which I don't think most people know is even in the line of succession. I actually thought it when Speaker of the House, Secretary of State. But the Speaker pro tem, the Senate pro tem, President, I guess, President pro tem is the person who comes after the Speaker of the House. And that's Patrick Leahy. This is brand new information to me. I don't know. Everybody is like, Andy, everybody knows that.
People aren't like that, because they didn't know that whenever Reagan got shot. There was a big dispute over what the line of succession was and how that worked out.
Well, this Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Nancy Pelosi, Patrick Leahy, lots of people commenting on the Annie Frey YouTube live and saying that this is not a fair poll question and that they want to say all of the above, because the question is which Democrat would be the worst president. No, that's not the way it works. You have to pick one. So go onto the Annie Frey YouTube live, look in the live chat. You just got to go to YouTube, type in Annie Frey, F-R-E-Y, and in the live chat, you'll see the poll there. Where are we at peak worst? That's your vote. You can comment and complain, but just vote too. Fair? Do you have an obvious one in your mind?
I know who I voted for.
Who'd you vote for?
Patrick Leahy.
I guess maybe there's a distinct disadvantage that A, everyone's like, why is he on there? And B, I think he's going to be two, or he, listen to this. The four people, the president, the vice president, the speaker of the House, the president pro tem of the Senate. Joe Biden, he's going to be 80 this year. Kamala Harris, I don't know how old she is. She's not old. Nancy Pelosi, 80. Patrick Leahy, 82.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah, and that played a big role into why I picked him, because I remember listening to some audio of him in a Senate hearing and stuff like that, and I was like, this guy shouldn't be in the Senate.
No, he shouldn't. People around these people, help them, help the country.
You are 82 years old. Retire.
Is there anything else that you should be doing with your time?
Yeah, spend time with your grandkids.
Advise people. You could be 82 and advising people. Anyway, we've been watching a federal courthouse in West Palm Beach, Florida, and it appears as though the judge has spoken on the affidavit involved in the getting the ball rolling for the FBI to raid that Mar-a-Lago residence, the private residence of Donald Trump. Let's listen in and see what Fox News is reporting on this issue here, because it certainly is something that we need to pay attention to. Let's listen in right now.
Decision saying that some of the documents associated with the probable cause affidavit should be unsealed and released today. However, when it comes to the entire affidavit, he's saying that not all of it should be released, and that he's going to entertain redactions from the Justice Department. Our Mark Meredith will be up in a second with more on all of this. But there seems, Aisha, to have been a not quite a complete ruling from the bench, but going some distance down that road.
That's right. And of course, the DOJ has been trying to prevent the entire document from being released. And they've been pushing back, saying that we think that we might lose potential witnesses for future investigations, that this might be a matter of national security. But we've talked about this all day, that it is possible to see this affidavit released redacted. And this happens all the time, John. I've requested affidavits in my entire career, and I get them all the time. Sometimes, you'll see big black marks and they're redacted, but you still get the gist of why the search happened. And that's exactly the point that we want to get to. Let's bring in Mark Meredith. He is live for us in West Palm Beach, Florida, just outside the courthouse there, I believe. Mark, are you there? And what can you tell us about what we just found out moments ago?
Hey, Aisha and John, I sure am. We've seen people just start to leave the courthouse right here behind me, kind of trickle out, but we were also getting an idea of what was happening inside almost in real time. It's kind of like a giant game of telephone here. But you and John were just talking about some of the headlines that we're seeing, that, of course, that the judge believes that some portions of the affidavit can be released, but he also understands the government's point here that some of these redactions will need to be made. And as you mentioned, he is going to give the government a little bit more time here to try to figure out what they would like to stay sealed and what they think can be made public. And of course, it's also possible there could be appeals further than that. So this process is still far from done. But it is interesting that the judge also agreed to release some additional materials, which we were kind of expecting. These would be additional materials tied to the search warrant. Remember, the search warrant was released about a week ago, and it indicated what the government was able to remove from Mar-a-Lago. It was those 11 cases of documents labeled top secret, classified. And that's been kind of what the crux of the last week has been about, is why these documents were at Mar-a-Lago. Former President Trump had claimed that he had unclassified them before leaving office, and it was his right to keep them. But there are big concerns about whether or not this was a national security risk. You also had a lawyer for President Trump who had told the Justice Department earlier in the summer that these documents were no longer being at Mar-a-Lago. So we're going to be waiting to see whether or not there are going to be any major changes that may come from this redacted affidavit if and when it is released eventually. Not going to happen today, but we are going to get those portions of the search warrant. In terms of what we have been out here seeing in West Palm Beach area, out here, a lot of media, but we have only seen maybe one or two Trump supporters. It wasn't the circus that we saw a week ago outside of Mar-a-Lago, where you had people kind of going back and forth for hours at a time. It is certainly possible, though, that depending on what we find out from this additional material, that could either help the president in terms of his political base, or it could hurt him. It all just depends on the information that comes out. There were various media outlets that were pushing to get these materials released. This wasn't a demand officially, legally from the Trump team. Instead, this was something that was being argued on behalf of media organizations, saying that in the interest of transparency, imagine the worldwide interest in this case. You do have something happening so unprecedented that this would be something in the public's interest to come to light. The judge says he understands the request on that level. But of course, again, the government's security concerns are still a part of this. It's possible we could hear lawyers from the media team come out here to speak. We've got a little podium set up here with looks like about 50 to 60 people crowding around it, waiting to find out if they'll have anything to say after the proceedings themselves. And again, as I've mentioned, we've had people kind of coming.
So Mark Meredith reporting right now from the West Palm Beach, Florida federal courthouse. And he was talking about the lawyers who would be potentially coming out to speak. Now that has happened. And Deanna Schulman, who's an attorney for media organizations, as he was saying there, it's not like this is just an issue that is taking place between Donald Trump and the FBI. There is a media interest in whether or not this information should be made public, which I would tell you folks is actually journalism. Because remember, the media is supposed to be the advocate for the American people, for the people, for you and for me. Their job is to uncover truth and expose it. And then the truth is supposed to speak for itself. Well, of course, that's not the world we live in right now. However, that is what the actual role and responsibility of the media is supposed to be. Fox News has Brett Baer reacting to this. I'm going to get to Brett Baer's reaction, and then we're going to get to the attorney for the media organization who is talking about this. Let's listen into what Brett has to say.
I think more transparency at the front end could have prevented some of this, but really the heart of the matter is what they're looking for specifically and how they got to the determination to use the force they did in the search or raid of Mar-a-Lago. And the government is arguing because of the witnesses used in a grand jury that it suggests may be part of other investigations. They don't want any of that revealed, or the sensitive nature of the information, the classified information. So we're going to have to see what they come back with the redactions. I do think that, this kind of plods on here, and you're going to be at the whim of anonymous sources to media organizations and a response from the former president on Truth Social. And that's where we're going to be probably for the next week.
She was pointing out, she has, and many of us have in our careers, issued FOIA requests for probable cause affidavit contents. In this case, you've got the target of an investigation in a rather unusual move, recommending that this come out. Former President Trump put out a statement last Friday in which he said, not only will I not oppose the release of the documents, I'm encouraging the immediate release of those documents because, Brett, when it comes down to it, I mean, this is as much political as it is legal. And right now, it's just these confidential sources for the media who are framing this whole thing. And President Trump wants to get the real story out there.
Well, sure. And listen, the Trump people come from the perspective, look through the prism of what happened with the Russia investigation and how we went through almost a year and a half, 2 years of anonymous leaks that were the big thing that was going to happen. And then it didn't happen. It didn't materialize. They look at it through that prism. So they feel very familiar in this spot that now there's something secret happening and it's going to be, played out on the front pages of papers. So which is why they're arguing for that. I don't think that there is going to be a decision that all of this comes out in the end. I think that this judge is very cautious. We should point out once the final decision is made, the lawyers could appeal it. They could go to the 11th Circuit and appeal this magistrate's decision. They could short circuit that and go right to the Supreme Court, but the Supreme Court hasn't in the past gone to that fast track. They usually look to the lower courts to make that decision. So there is a battle here legally. In the meantime, whatever investigation is continuing does so apace, and there are a number of them, as you all know.
And Brett, the underlining point, hasn't this, certainly the Trump team would argue this, hasn't this sort of turned into a very unfair situation for the former president? I mean, he's practically on trial now in the court of public opinion. His team certainly doesn't have all of the answers as to why. And they're not able to put together a defense either without knowing the details of what's in this affidavit. So isn't this just the way that it's playing out? It's just turning ugly, a little messy.
Yeah. Well, he hasn't been indicted yet, and they're going to have to make that decision at some point. And I would argue
and a lot of experts we talk to say it has to happen pretty quickly for that decision of whether they're moving forward or not. So as this is playing out, whether the affidavit's coming out or not, that decision is going to be made, whether to charge a former president of the United States. And once you get to that sentence, a former president of the United States who potentially could be the political opponent in 2024 to the current president, who overrides and is the head of the administration of this DOJ, even though there's separation in how they approach the law, that is very political, to John's point. And we haven't been in this position before. And so that's what makes all of this unique. But in this time, there could be a decision of what the DOJ is going to do.
All right. So Brett Baer has been reacting to the ruling. We don't have the specific details about what is going to be released and what isn't, but the judges come out and said that the whole thing should remain sealed. So they might redact some particular pieces of information when they do release that. We are going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to hear from Dina Schulman, who is the attorney for the media organizations that have been pushing for this information to be released. So stick around. We'll have that when we come back. We'll probably also hear from Jonathan Turley as well, who is reacting to this breaking news right now from a federal courthouse in West Palm Beach, Florida, regarding the FBI raid on Trump's home in Mar-a-Lago. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show. Follow Annie on Twitter @AnnieFryShow.
Remember the old arcade?
The Mark Reardon Show.
How about Albert Scott?
Man, every time he steps in, like the hair on the back of my neck stands up. And watching him take over that finale against the Brewers, and literally, I will never forget it.
Weekdays from 3 to 6 on 97.1 FM Talk.
When you are choosing to go down the path to lose weight, you want to make sure that your game plan is solid, that it has a proven record of success. Slim180 has that. MySlim180.com is a website you can check out and learn more about how they can help you achieve your goals. I've done the HCG program with them after both of my kiddos, my last two kiddos, and it works, folks. The reason I go back is because it works. I know many people have suffered from COVID and staying home and been in a position where they have put on some unexpected weight, and now you're sitting there thinking, you know what, everything else is back to normal. I want to get myself healthy again. Give Slim180 a try. I think you'll be happy about it. They have multiple programs that they can customize to fit you and your needs. I'm somebody who doesn't like seafood. And a lot of times you go on diets if they have a regimented plan about what you can and can't eat. You got to eat a lot of seafood. I don't eat seafood. They worked with me and they helped me get my proteins in because they customized it to me and it worked. Find the locations, the contact information, and the hours all online at myslim180.com.
I'm Thomas Helbig with the Retirement Advisory Group. I'm proud to say we are a family business. Through innovative financial tools, my nephew Bob and I are committed to making sure your retirement nest egg is kept safe from market declines. As a matter of fact, we have never lost a dime of our clients' money, and we won't lose any of yours either.
Hi, I'm Bob Kershaw, and the secret is in linking safely to the market without putting your principal at risk. As we look ahead at the likelihood of increasing volatility in the market, it's important that you protect your nest egg from market losses, as that's the engine that drives your retirement income.
Our family would like to help your family retire comfortably and keep your retirement safe and secure. Call us now for a no-cost, no-obligation retirement review. And just for coming in, you'll get a copy of my second edition book, Your Key to a Worry-Free Retirement. We've been helping retirees and pre-retirees retire with confidence for 36 years. Call us now, 314-993-9494, or online at retirementkey.com. That's retirementkey.com.
We're all on this planet together, so join Odyssey and find your one thing. Summer items like garden hoses, pool toys, and lawn chairs are not recyclable and best donated to charity. Join Odyssey, and together each of us doing one thing makes a greener tomorrow. What's your one thing?
The Med Spa at the Institute of Natural Health understands how difficult it is to maintain healthy skin and how much this can affect someone's life. With the right combination of treatments and products, they can help you keep your skin looking healthy and more youthful, while also reducing and preventing damage. Take your first step towards healthy skin at the Med Spa at the Institute of Natural Health. Visit them at inhstl.com or call to schedule at 314-293-8123. That's 314-293-8123.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling Studio. Air Comfort Service is proud to support Greater St. Louis Honor Flight. Sign your veteran up for their honor flight today at gslhonorflight.org, and for heating services, visit aircomfortservice.com.
Up-to-the-minute traffic reports so you don't have to keep looking at your phone. Dependable traffic on 97.1 FM Talk. Driven by Ambassador Midwest Floor Company, the best way to deal with in-home traffic. Experience more at Ambassador Midwest Floor. This is the Annie Frey Show. Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Frey Show.
Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. So we have been following the breaking news right now from the federal courthouse in West Palm Beach, Florida, and it's time for us to listen to the lawyer. Her name's Deanna Schulman. She is representing the media organizations who filed to get this affidavit that was used to pursue this raid on Donald Trump's home at Mar-a-Lago. The affidavit, should it be released? Well, this lawyer and their organization said, yes, it should. Let's listen in to see what she had to say after the judge unseals some documents behind the Mar-a-Lago raid. Let's listen in.
The Department of Justice on those redactions. He will review those materials and he will enter an order specifying what information, if any, will remain sealed and inaccessible to the public.
What is your response to the government's argument saying that following these redactions that are made, there may be nothing substantial left behind?
Well, I think Mr. Tobin made the right response there. It is up to the public to determine what is meaningful in this investigation. Certainly, Florida has had its share of high-profile investigations. We've lived through Casey Anthony. We've lived through George Zimmerman. We know what redacted court files look like, and we know how to make meaning of them. So if the court is inclined to issue a document with just the first line redacted or unredacted, then that's what we get. And it's up to the public and through its surrogate, all of you, to figure out what the meaning is behind that. But it is not the government's job to tell the public what is meaningful in terms of the release of its own information.
What is your response to the argument that some of the witnesses' accounts are so specific that they would be basically outed or identified by virtue of this affidavit?
I think Judge Reinhardt is going to protect the identity of confidential informants, and that's probably the right outcome here. We don't want, none of the media interveners want to jeopardize the safety or security of a confidential informant. It is very common in these situations that information that would lead to the disclosure of their identity is kept secret. However, it is important to note that simply saying somebody works for a particular agency is not sufficient. Perhaps saying their title, their post, the number of years they've been in position, and other identifiers may get us there, but the generic fact that there are confidential informants working with the government is not something that I would think is subject to protection.
Can you explain what was unsealed today, and if we're going to get anything new from that?
Today, you're probably not going to get anything new from it, but today what was unsealed is the motion to seal the search warrant, which you all have the underlying search warrant, and the order on the motion to seal the search warrant. I would expect the motion to be fairly generic and describing that we have a search warrant, Your Honor, that we would like you to seal. And I would expect the order to be fairly generic. We agree that your search warrant should be sealed.
Did anyone mention the waning credibility of the FBI and the source of the affidavit?
Nobody mentioned the waning credibility of the FBI specifically. However, Mr. Tobin did make the argument that this is a proceeding that's about the credibility of all the players. So whether the judge is doing his job, whether the DOJ is doing its job, that is the proper function of these access proceedings and why the public is entitled to access. That is the public interest. We are entitled to monitor the affairs of our government at all levels. And that is the interest in this essence that we were asserting today.
Did the DOJ offer any clues as to what could be in that affidavit today?
They didn't offer clues as to what's in that affidavit in particular, but they did tell us that it includes a roadmap for the investigation as it stands right now. It explains the scope and breadth of that application, or that investigation, excuse me, and it has a number of confidential informants and witnesses whose ongoing participation may be jeopardized by the disclosure. So generically, the government described the categories of information in the search warrant, and that's why it's very important for Judge Reinhart to look specifically at the search warrant affidavit in light of those, in light of those statements that those types of categories are included in the materials.
To clarify, once they've come back with what we want, what we say can be redacted, is that automatically released, or does the judge still have to say, look, I'm going to decide whether or not this is released? I'm just reading an article that characterizes it one way and not the other, so I just want to make sure I understand that.
Yeah, that's actually a very good question. For those of you who are not inside the court hearing, Judge Reinhart actually put forth a procedure that he's going to use in this case. So August 25th, the government will propose its redactions to the search warrant application and its affidavit. They can also file a brief at that time explaining why they are requesting the redactions. At that point, Judge Reinhart will review the requested redactions and review the documents, and he'll make a decision. If he agrees with the government, he'll enter an order agreeing with the government, and we will get whatever it is that the government and he have determined should be released. If he disagrees with the government's requested redactions, Judge Reinhart is the ultimate decision maker here. So he will enter an order disagreeing with the government's redactions, but give the government time to appeal that order before he releases the search warrant and its affidavit. Because of course, if he didn't do that and it became public, the government would essentially lose its right to appeal. So if he disagrees with the government's redactions, he will give the government a chance to appeal that order before he releases the warrant application and its affidavits for the public.
So as far as timeline, when do you think we would actually see whatever is going to be released?
It's really hard to determine. In these access cases, they tend to take a fast track. I was actually pleased to see the Department of Justice say they only needed a week to submit their redactions. That was very kind of them. Oftentimes we see a much longer period. I think Judge Reinhart understands the public interest in these materials, so I think he'll make a swift decision. I'm not going to hold him to a certain time frame because I just don't know. And then if there is an appeal, I think you'll have, members of the public and press pushing for an expedited appellate review system so that the public can have access to whatever it is that the court is going to rule we can have access to rather quickly. In some, it won't be months, but it won't be a week or two either. Anybody else? Okay.
All right. That was Deanna Schulman, the attorney for media organizations, talking about the ruling. So it appears as though there are going to be some documents that are released. They might have some redactions involved. I'm scrolling Twitter right now. Alan Dershowitz just tweeted like seconds ago exactly what I recommend in my Newsleak article this morning. And he has it on his Substack. I'm retweeting that right now. Alan Dershowitz was somebody who was for transparency in this issue. So he is definitely going to support what it is that the direction that this is heading, because I don't think that we have we're mid-sentence here, but we are moving in the direction where more information is going to be released to the public, and it's not going to happen today, but it's going to potentially happen soon. So interesting there. I can only imagine the fallout if they were to say, no, nobody gets to see anything. That would be problematic.
I cannot see a scenario where that happens and things just don't go completely off the rails, because that will look horrible.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see here. We have, I'm going to read to you. I'm just glancing over Twitter right now. Catherine Falders, who is an investigative reporter in DC for ABC News, tweeted, Judge Reinhart says, quote, I am not prepared to find that the affidavit should be fully sealed, and asks the government for proposed redactions to the Mar-a-Lago affidavit by next week, adding this will be a careful process. Mike Davis, who was on our show, is with the Article 3 Project, retweeted that and said the, quote, careful process, end quote, will hide the fact that Attorney General Merrick Garland and the Biden Justice Department obtained from a clearly biased judge an unprecedented, unnecessary, and unlawful home raid warrant of, and then did a fishing expedition on their boss's political enemy. The temperature is hot. And we're all sitting here going, what's the real deal here? Somebody just give us the truth. Somebody show us a little bit of respect. Yeah, okay. We'll be back in a minute. Don't go away.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, Trying to find a needle in a haystack? Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. Just go to this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Man, what a great party you're throwing here. This wasp nest is great.
Yeah, man, we got about 70 wasps in here. It's one in, one out.
Too bad we can't fit any more wasps in here. It looks like they're having fun outside, stinging all the kids. Oh, man, who just pulled up?
Oh, no, it's the pest control company again with those green wheels. They seem to kill every one of my parties.
This is Derek, the owner of All Solutions Pest Control. We'd love to help you out, so please visit us online at allsolutionspestcontrol.com.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
Updating your home with James Hardie Siding has never been more popular. With all of the options available, you need a partner to maximize your investment. The rising prices on vinyl siding has made Hardie Siding a great alternative. Siding Express is ready to refresh the appearance of your home or totally transform the look by installing Hardie Shake, board and batten, lap siding, or a stone accent to make it your dream home again. Siding Express is an elite preferred James Hardie contractor. Need ideas? Go to sidingexpress.com and schedule a free, no-obligation consultation today.
You want to retire soon, but everyone keeps telling you to wait until you're 65. After all, that's the age that you qualify for Medicare and you're close to full retirement age. I'm Marvin Mitchell, president of Compass Retirement Solutions. In my new book, Retire Early, The 9 Critical Decisions When Retiring Before 65, I discuss proper planning to help make early retirement possible. When to take Social Security, what to do with your 401k, healthcare, how to maximize retirement income, and much more. Get a complimentary copy of Retire Early by calling 1-800-743-8510. That's 1-800-743-8510. Can you retire early? Call 1-800-743-8510 for your copy of Retire Early, the 9 critical decisions when retiring before 65.
Investments and services offered through Compass Retirement Group, a registered investment advisory in Missouri and Illinois. Compass Retirement Solutions is not affiliated with the U.S. government or any governmental agency.
KFTK FM Florissant, driven by the Bomarito Automotive Group, 97.1 FM Talk. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
This is a Fox News alert. A partial decision on the Trump raid. I'm Lisa Brady. A federal judge just agreeing to unseal some documents, but so far not the main reason for today's court hearing. The affidavit that led to the raid on the former president's Florida home.
The U.S. magistrate here in West Palm Beach is in agreement that the entire affidavit should not remain sealed. He's giving the government 1 week to submit supposed redactions. After that, the documents could be made public.
Fox's Evan Brown at the courthouse in West Palm Beach, where Deanna Schulman spoke moments ago. She's an attorney for the media organizations that filed the motion to unseal the affidavit.
They didn't offer clues as to what's in that affidavit in particular, but they did tell us that it includes a roadmap for the investigation as it stands right now.
The Justice Department says unsealing it could compromise the investigation and jeopardize witnesses, with the top national security prosecutor telling the judge the probe into the handling of classified records and possible violation of the Espionage Act is still in its early stages. Trump is publicly pressing for full transparency on what led to the raid. Earlier today, Trump's longtime chief financial officer, Alan Weisselberg, pleading guilty in New York to all 15 counts in a tax fraud case.
This agreement calls for 5 months behind bars in addition to 5 years probation. Now, as part of this deal, Weisselberg will have to testify against the Trump Organization and related Trump businesses, which face similar charges and are slated to go on trial in October. The former president is not a defendant in the indictment, and under the plea deal, Weisselberg is not required to testify against him or cooperate with prosecutors in other legal proceedings.
Fox's David Lee Miller, the Trump Organization, calls Weisselberg an honorable man who's been harassed, persecuted, and threatened. America's listening to Fox News.
The roar of our engines, the pump of our heartbeats, the pedal to our metal, the sparks that ignite us, the pistons that push us, the passions that drive us. From the feelings that move us to the places that pull us on the roads that unite us. With nearly 6,000 stores and over 17,000 auto care centers, Napa has America's largest network of parts and care, here to keep you firing on all cylinders.
Every search you make, every click you take, they'll be watching you.
Tired of companies like Google and Facebook watching everything you do online? There's actually a simple solution. DuckDuckGo. It's an all-in-one privacy app with a built-in private search engine, web browser, one-click data clearing, email protection, and more, all for free. Download the app today and get the most comprehensive privacy protection with a push of a button. DuckDuckGo. Privacy simplified.
Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling weather with Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Our high temperature this afternoon should be hanging around 84 degrees, plenty of sunshine and nice humidity levels. Clear skies this evening and overnight, upper 70s this evening. We'll drop it back to about 62 for the low. Friday, partly sunny, looking for a high. Friday afternoon, 85. 85 over the weekend. Partly sunny skies, though. Each day could bring a spot shower or thunder shower. No all-day rain, but we'll watch the skies. This is 97.1 FM Talk, Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Discussion happens here.
Washington, D.C., the city government exists inside of this liberal vacuum where there's no outside voices involved.
On everything happening in the United States now.
Joe Biden can continue to be the president of the United States because the alternative is Kamala Harris.
Where St. Louis comes to talk.
It's something that makes Trump look bad. We're automatically running with it. We're not going to try to verify it anywhere. That's how journalism works these days.
97.1 FM Talk.
Hairsaloon.com is the website. If you're looking to schedule an appointment, maybe this coming weekend to get a gentlemanly haircut, Hair Saloon is the right place to go. They have a whole vibe, which is what the kids say, about the way it feels to walk into Hair Saloon, the way they treat you, the way they show that gentlemanly respect to each and every one of their clients. I want you to consider Hair Saloon for your next haircut. And I want you to think about their mantra. They believe that men deserve better. Weirdly bold statement these days, isn't it? Well, it needs to be said as much as we possibly can put it out there. Hair Saloon is committed to making you as a client want to come back again and again and again. And there are a few things they do to ensure that that happens. First of all, obviously, a perfect haircut every time. In addition to that, a complimentary shoe shine, hot towel in mint, and a complimentary beverage, the favorite of my 12-year-old son when he goes to get his haircut at Hair Saloon with his dad. Make the appointment at one of their 16 area locations on both sides of the river online right now, hairsaloon.com.
If you own a house in St. Louis and you want to sell it as is without any inspections or need to make any repairs, call Chris Buys Homes St. Louis at 314-782-8000 or at chrisbuyshomesstlouis.com and get your cash offer without any obligation, commissions, banks, or headaches. Chris buys vacant houses, inherited houses, fixer-uppers, beautiful houses, even the tenant won't pay their rent apartment. Google Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis. That's Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis. And check out the best reviews from satisfied customers. When you sell to Chris, you decide when you want to move, according to your schedule and your terms. Go to chrisbuyshomesinstlouis.com. Google Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis or call 314-782-8000. That's 314-782-8000. And get the offer you have been waiting for. Chris Buys Homes in St. Chris Buys Homes in St. or call 314-782-8000.
Hi, this is Jessica Munganess. Stop by Dave Munganess St. Louis Honda to reserve your new 2022 Honda and never pay a cent over sticker. We also have a great selection of Honda True Used vehicles available on South Lindbergh that come with a comprehensive warranty and even have a 3-day exchange policy if you're not completely satisfied. It's the very best way to buy a pre-owned vehicle. So isn't it time you see the Munganess difference at Dave Munganess St. Louis Honda and our pre-owned centers? DaveMunganess.com since 1965.
Nature Valley is giving away back-to-school gear for free at the Retalk Shop. On TikTok, show how you reduce, reuse, or recycle with hashtag #RetalkForNature. And you could be served a code, unlocking one free item. While supplies last, terms and conditions apply.
If you owe the IRS, you have a legal issue, and you need the Lance Drury Law Firm. We'll protect your rights. Log on at lancedrurylaw.com or call us toll-free at 888-367-6512.
Download the Odyssey app to listen to 97.1 FM Talk and find content that moves you. Anytime, anywhere. The Odyssey app for 97.1 FM Talk on the go.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
Right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
Well, welcome back. Happy Thursday. It's 2:08 in St. Louis. We're glad that you were here with us. I haven't really pushed this as much as I normally have during the early part of the show. I'm going to ask you, gentlemen, here real quick to answer this question. It's on the Annie Frey YouTube live chat. So if you go to the Annie Frey YouTube channel in the live chat, you'll be able to vote on this poll. Which Democrat would be the worst president? Is it Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Nancy Pelosi, or Patrick Leahy? Ryan, who do you think?
Nancy Pelosi. She's way more shrewd than anybody else in that group, and she could get the worst stuff done the best.
You worry that she would be grossly successful.
Yes, I would. And
Words chosen carefully.
Yeah, that's very accurate. You said it. That's it.
Nancy Pelosi. What about you, Brad?
I'm still sticking with Patrick Leahy. He is too incredibly old, and he just seems like he doesn't really have anything that he can, like, as bad as Joe Biden is, Leahy's worse. And I just don't think he has anything that he can offer this country, and it'll just be a ship without a captain.
So if you're just tuning in now, you're like, Patrick Leahy, why him? Where'd that come from? Well, it's important to understand the line of succession. And if Joe Biden were to vacate the presidency while he was still a term, of course, the vice president would take over. That's Kamala Harris. Third in line, the Speaker of the House is Nancy Pelosi. Well, fourth in line, I think a lot of people thought it was the Secretary of State. I certainly did. It's actually the President pro tem of the Senate, who is Patrick Leahy. Who knew? I was going through the poll question was originally going to be, who's the worst? That was just going to be it. And it turned out as I was sitting there coming up with names, I couldn't narrow it down to just 4. So yeah. I had AOC on there. I had Adam Schiff. Adam Schiff was like the first one because when I see him, I want to punch the TV screen.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I understand that.
There's no redeemable quality. Not like there really is with Nancy Pelosi or AOC. With Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, I still, and I say this as a young woman myself, I still think that there's time for her to be ignorant because she's so young.
It's funny that you bring up Adam Schiff because he's the one name of these 4 that I went, I wonder why Adam Schiff's not on there. And then you just addressed why Adam Schiff's
He is the number one. Because like I said, the original poll question was going to be, who's the worst?
Well, Adam Schiff, all the rest of those names, well, maybe not Patrick Leahy, but...
No, poor Pat, he's like, what did I do?
Yeah,
How did I get roped into this? Even Patrick Leahy's going...
My dancing shoes.
Yeah.
Where's my ice cream?
Oh, man.
But to an extent, somebody shrewd like Pelosi, I know everything they're saying to me is a lie. When I listen to Adam Schiff and to some extent Kamala Harris, I think that they think they're lying. Pelosi believes what she's saying and tries to sell it to you.
I'm going to say they don't believe that. You're saying that Adam Schiff believes that Adam Schiff is lying.
Yes.
No, they just believe you're dumb enough to.
They're talking down to you.
That you're there to buy what they're selling.
Yeah.
So this is, I'm just I'm rolling the dice on this. I'm assuming if it's in my archives that it's okay to play. This is Patrick Leahy.
Oh.
I have a clip of sound in the
3 years?
entire history of me doing this show and archiving all the sound from March 8th of 2021. This is what Patrick Leahy.
No senator wishes to change their vote. If not, the yeas are 50. The nays are 49. The bill as amended is passed.
That's the COVID relief bill, $1.9 trillion, folks. $1.9 trillion, March 8th of 2021, a year after Illinois and other people like Illinois pioneer in government overlording. Illinois shuts down and other people followed, of course, but he wasn't sounding so great then. Do you remember? Was he vocal during the impeachment process and it was just rough? Or maybe it was one of the Senate or the Supreme Court confirmation hearings. I don't know, but I remember him speaking, and we would sit here every day during these long weeks of coverage of a confirmation hearing process, the impeachments that we had to cover, and you'd get we'd be trying to cover it. We'd be like, okay, this is what the people 97.1 care about. They want to know the outcome. They want to hear what's actually going on. We're going to bring it to the people. And you'd have a Patrick Leahy come up and you're like, I don't think we can do it. You'd have Gerald Nadler come up and you're like, my gosh, I can't air this. It's not just bad, it's sad. And you know who else is that way? The president of the United States, Joe Biden. There are lots of opportunities, and I know that many people in the industry that I work in take the opportunity to do this. I don't necessarily think that it's wrong for them to choose to do it. But playing clips of Joe Biden being lost and helpless and confused and forgetful, is that important? Is that important to the security and the success of the United States of America for people to know what their president is like? I think it is. But it makes me so sad. I disagree with everything he's doing politically. One of the poll questions I've thought about putting up is a simple yes or no question. Has President Biden done anything to make the country better?
That's a really good question.
I can't think of anything.
I can't either, because if he had his inauguration speech, as we've talked about many times, was about unity. If he had governed the exact same way, but done so in a way, like passed the same bills, but done so in a way that he was always talking about trying to bring the country together, that's not necessarily great governing, but at least he would have been promising, following through on a campaign promise to bring the country together.
It's the opposite.
It really is. He hasn't even tried to do that.
Well, that's something that doesn't take votes. You don't have to convince the Senate to be nice to the other side. You can just try to bring the country together as the leader of the country. And he just, like you said, he doesn't, and he's done the opposite. He's just leaned into.
It's not a passive thing, though, either. I wouldn't even let him off the hook in a passive way. He's the one who calls the people in Texas Neanderthals because they're not following whatever that people told him that the CDC guidance or whatever should say about COVID. He's the one who comes out and calls people's names. He's the one who, in an effort to win political points with whom, I don't even know, likes to come out and there was a period of time you could just see, you don't even have to be somebody who studies politics. You can see that the trifle concern that the people who are trying to piece together this administration must be discussing behind the scenes, because now all of a sudden we're like, no, we need to hit hard on the MAGA. MAGA is what really moves the needle. It's not us doing something that elevates our support. We need to, just like junior high mean girls do, squash down the other side so that we end up being elevated above them, not because we elevated ourselves, but we desecrated the other side. Let's attack MAGA. That always brings, that's how we bring it home. And then apparently Biden takes it a little extra far and he starts calling it Ultra MAGA. What does the right do? They print t-shirts and hats that say Ultra MAGA and it becomes their own thing. They're so out of touch and they're so clueless and there's so much to criticize. But when the president of the United States speaks, I don't want to play it because it is sad. People have grandpas who are like this. People have dads who are like this. And you see with your own eyes, go back to what I said at the very beginning of the show, what you see and know to be true, what is 100% obvious to you, you keep to yourself, because if you speak up on it, you're going to be attacked for it. People are going to try to cancel you for it. If you call out the fact that crime is bad and criminals should pay the consequences of their crimes and not the communities, the victims of crimes are not the criminals. It's the people who the criminals perpetrate these acts towards. You need to be able to say these things out loud. You need to be able to say out loud what is obvious without fear of retribution. And when it comes to the president of the United States, it is just 100% total disaster area.
I wonder if the reason that they're doing this, that they've basically carried a negative campaign ad into 2 years of the presidency, is because they don't have anything positive to run on. Because they really don't. I mean, there's not been, outside of maybe the first couple months when you just had the glow of, oh, this guy's not Trump. Everybody was giving him a pass on everything. After that, there has not been, and even during that, there really wasn't a positive news story at all or policy to run on, other than Build Back Better, which half the country and probably more hates.
I mean, their entire campaign was, I'm not Trump. And I remember back when George Bush was running, and that was kind of John Kerry's campaign. I'm not George Bush. And Kerry didn't get elected, Bush got reelected. But with Joe Biden, we see that the I'm not that guy, it's a very shallow candidacy. It's a very shallow then presidency because he didn't have anything other than not being Donald Trump. And that's just, it's wasteful. It's terrible. We don't have anything to look at with his presidency.
If you think about the generations gone before you, like the phrase, it's going to hell in a handbasket. And you've heard that before and you think, oh, it's not that bad. Well, we're going to hell in a handbasket here. Hell in a handbasket full of deplorables, if you ask the Hillary Clinton side. Another opportunity for them to say that the way everything is right now, if you are somebody who doesn't agree with what they say, they use it as an opportunity to attack who you are, not what you think on a particular issue. They attack you. And so people, another instance where they came out with an attack and all of a sudden deplorable is unsure. It's all over Trump rallies in 2016. Let me ask you this question here, because I've cited like the criminal justice system and the obvious nature where you go to Chicago and they're just breaking in broad daylight into shops on the Magnificent Mile. You see it in LA, you see it in New York City. It is obvious that what we're doing right now as a society is completely contorted inside out. It's simply obvious. It's obvious to everybody that there are men and women and that you can intellectually, mentally identify as whatever you want to identify. But scientifically, it is not controversial to say that scientifically there are XX chromosomes and XY chromosomes and that indicates male or female. That is not something that should be controversial, but it is controversial to say it out loud. Think about all of the things that right now people are finally going, what the heck are we doing here? The idea that the level of sex education to very young children, the Parental Notification Rights and Education Act in Florida that turned into the Don't Say Gay bill. They changed the whole name and indication of what Ron DeSantis was trying to do in Florida. And they were completely misleading the public as to what the purpose of the actual bill was. It is not controversial to say that we shouldn't be doing sexual education to children who are 6 years old in kindergarten or second grade. It is not controversial to say that parents should be responsible for these conversations and that should be working in partnership with the education system to educate specific things in an appropriate way. It is not controversial to say that children should not be participating in sexually charged drag queen shows. It is not controversial to say that children should not be encouraged to participate in drag queen story times when the context of that is something sexual in nature. All of these things need to be spoken out loud. Like, what else can you think of right now that is obvious to everybody that this is not the way it's supposed to be, but we don't come out and talk about it.
Crime is the fault of the criminal, not the society around them.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, there's a lot of that stuff with kids. It's opening up kids to so many options to their genders at an age when they don't know what they're doing. And I'm talking about even later than just 6 years old. I'm talking about almost into puberty. If you start opening up kids to so many things, before they even know what those things mean.
It's the same thing as trying to explain to them like the burden of taxes.
Or money in general.
Or
just even
budgets.
Money. Yeah.
Or interest. Like this is not a kid issue.
Comparison.
And it's not even about the actual details of the issue. They are children. Run outside and play.
Yes.
Make something up. Fabricate something out of your brain, a reality that exists only to you based on what you have conjured up in your mind, and go live that reality because you're a kid and you're not going to get to do this for the rest of your life. This is your opportunity. Go do that. I'm not going to teach you how to balance a checkbook right now. I'm not going to tell you about how to refinance your mortgage. I'm not going to talk to you about, these health issues that you're going to face when you're turning middle age and all of a sudden everything in your body creaks. Like, it's just not time for that right now. That doesn't inherently make whatever the subject is wrong, but the timing is not right. Children only get to be children for such a finite amount of time, and adults who are obsessed with their political angles and trying to use the most vulnerable among us, children, as a pawn in some sort of political adventure. It's so horribly wrong. It's morally wrong.
I don't even think that they're trying to use them as a pawn. I think that they are actively trying to shape them to build the future that they want. So they're not just using them as a pawn. They're manipulating children. Because if you teach them young that, hey, you can be like whatever these things that they're talking about, whenever they become adults, that stuff's going to be locked into them.
Well, that's what I mean. You use them as an opportunity to affect a change that you personally want for your own personal benefit. It's like the prostitution of young children. You pimp out these kids so that you can score political victories and broaden your reach and your message. You're using people who are vulnerable, who are innocent to all of this stuff, and you're saying it's important for the cause and it's worthy for the cause. A classic ends justifies the means mentality that is destroying the future of the country by sowing seeds of incredible confusion in these kids when they're not mentally prepared. They don't have the capacity to understand even the things that you're talking to them about. I mean, you literally could go into a classroom right now. I have a first grader as of today. Today's first day. I have a first grader in my home. And if I sat down and told her that it was important for little kids to identify as either dogs or cats, and some people are dogs and some people are cats, and some people sometimes feel more like a cat on some days than others, but most of the time they're dogs, she would at the end conclude whether or not she was a dog or a cat.
Yes.
It would take me less than 5 minutes to convince her of that. You know why? She trusts me.
Mm-hmm.
And if I tell her that, it will become important to her. You know why? Because she's freaking 6.
Imagine now, in a couple years, she goes, you know what? I've identified as a cat for a couple years. Now I'm going to go to the Boston University School of Medicine and have them attach fur to my entire body.
Sure.
Because they will do that, because that's my identity.
And a system that would support doing that without notifying me in the first place. It's so upside down. And when we come back, I'm going to explain, because of course everything comes back to Donald Trump, how this does center around Donald Trump and the future of our country. So I want you to stick around for that. In the meantime, have you voted on the YouTube live chat poll? No, there's not an all of the above question, because YouTube limits me to 4, and that was going to be my 5th, and I just couldn't include it. Which Democrat would be the worst president? Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Nancy Pelosi, Patrick Leahy. Your votes on the Any Fry YouTube live chat poll. Be sure to subscribe while you're there and set that notification bell to get notified when we come live at noon. And if you're not a YouTube person, remember that Odyssey app. It's always there for you to come follow 97.1 FM Talk right there. Stick around. How does Trump fit into this when we come back?
You're listening to the Annie Fry Show. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
It doesn't make a difference if we make it or not. We got each other, and that's a lot for love. We'll give it a shot.
More people are landing on 97.1 FM Talk every day.
Wow, that's amazing.
It's St. Louis's radio destination for information with perspective.
That's the only station I listen to.
97.1 FM Talk, the place for ideas.
So Michael's Flooring Outlet has 3 locations around the St. Louis area. All the information on the wheres and the how to get there and when to call them and the hours at igotfloored.com. Shopping for flooring can be an exciting thing. It's something that you don't think about unless you're specifically looking to pursue that upgrade in your home, in your place of business. But once you get in the process of shopping for flooring, it becomes very exciting. There are tons of technological advancements in flooring that maybe you have not been able to learn about until now because you haven't been shopping for flooring. It's not like it's that you don't keep up on the flooring industry. You just are in or you're out. If you're shopping for flooring and you're looking for something that accommodates pets in the house, you're going to be able to talk about waterproof flooring. You can talk about the All Pet from Mohawk Smart Strand that Michael's Flooring Outlet absolutely carries. You can talk about different kinds of tile, different types of carpet that they have available, but the answers are located at Michael's Flooring Outlet with the best customer sales staff, great value, and great quality. All the information online at igotfloored.com.
Jewels on Hampton and St. Louis Hills is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches on site. Jewels on Hampton is a premier jeweler featuring Alvanza's jewel art designs with an exquisite selection of diamonds, semi-precious stone jewelry, and vintage watches. Their expert design team can restyle your jewelry to today's contemporary style. They also do jewelry and watch repair. Need extra cash? Jewels on Hampton is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches. Bring in your collectibles and clocks and sports memorabilia and figurines too. Jewels on Hampton, 4506 Hampton, just 3 blocks south of Chippewa, and jewelsonhampton.com. Call them at 314-752-5000, 314-752-5000, and jewelsonhampton.com. Jewels on Hampton.
The listening you love is on the free Odyssey app. Your trusted local radio stations, coverage of your favorite teams, live news from your hometown, and millions of podcasts on demand. Best of all, you can completely customize your listening experience. Follow topics you care about, like leagues and teams. Pause or rewind your local sports and news, and add shows to your queue to catch up later. There's a lot to listen to, so get started and download the free Odyssey app today.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
SherryKelly.com. It's a beautiful night. We're looking for
This is the Annie Frey Show.
Hey, baby, I think I want to marry you.
Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Frey Show.
Is it the look in your eyes, or is it this dancing juice? Who cares, baby? I think I want to marry you. Well, I know this little chapel.
You're not going to be able to contend with the audit. So they're going to crush a lot of people by doing that. And I think of all the things that have come out of Washington that have been outrageous, this has got to be pretty close to the top. And I think it was basically just a middle finger to the American public that this is what they think of you, all these problems we have to deal with. And they think the way is to do 87,000 IRS agents. There's going to be more people in the IRS than in like a lot of these other agencies combined now. They're not putting very much might down at the border, I can tell you that right now, but they want to be able to do it and unleash them on American taxpayers. And so that's wrong.
So we've been talking throughout the course of the show. I'd encourage you to go back and listen at the start of the show if you missed it, which on the Odyssey app, you can rewind to about 12:05 or so when we start the show. And this was kind of the main point of what I was trying to get through at that point. And then we've recircled back to it now. Can you recircle back? Is that like a double negative?
Yeah, that's 360 times 2, whatever that comes out to be.
It's about 500.
720.
720.
You're doing a 720.
I don't know, because I think if you recircle back, you go one way, but then you go back the other. So maybe it's a 0.
Oh, it's a 0.
Yeah.
Yeah, net nothing.
Well, that's our goal at 2:30 is to produce a show that is net zero.
I listened to 2.5 hours of radio show and I walked away with absolutely nothing. That's what we want you to say.
But if we recircle back, it means you gained a whole bunch of information and then you forgot it.
Well, let's recircle back to the recircle back. And I don't know.
It'd be like making a bunch of dividends on all your stocks, but then that stock is also worth nothing. So all the dividends are also worth nothing.
It's exactly like that.
Do you remember when we were talking about explaining taxes to a toddler?
That's
how I'm feeling right now.
That's okay. I just feel like a toddler.
You know what I'm doing? Sometimes when you guys are talking and I'm like, oh, I wasn't paying attention, it's because I'm day trading.
And you're still here, which means it's not going well.
That's right.
So, talking about circling back to what I was speaking about in the beginning of the show is just the ability to control language and to keep the other side shut up. That's the point here. It's hard for Republicans or for conservatives or even independents who don't really, we've talked about this. You said you had a friend in Chicago who wanted to speak out. I think it was about gender issues, wasn't it? Like a liberal. People on the other side who know that they have jumped the shark on many issues. It is obvious that's the word of the day, obvious. It is obvious to so many people that the direction that politically we're pushing this country, the shark has been jumped in multiple different issues. And to say the obvious thing under threat of cancellation or being called a name, people I think are starting to just kind of peek around the corner and be like, anybody gonna say something on this? Like, okay, someone's got to say something on this. This is how you get the Department of Homeland Security labeling parents upset at school board meetings as domestic terrorists. I mean, if you think about the administration's identification of who's a threat to this country right now, parents at school boards and white men.
Yes.
Unbelievable. I don't know any white supremacists. I don't know any of them. I know a ton of people who are white who panic anytime race comes up because all they want to do is the right thing. And say the right thing. And everybody panics and freezes. And then nobody says anything. And that creates a void. Because even in the midst of the best of intentions and good hearts, we can't have conversations because people have been made to be scared. Enter Ron DeSantis in Florida. He's coming out and saying, obviously, we're not going to teach sex education to our six-year-olds. And everyone's going, yeah, that's definitely what I think. And someone's finally saying it. So
somebody high profile.
It's not just conservatives either.
I'm with him, but I don't want anyone to know. So you have something like that. You have something like the crime situation that's going on right now. And you don't want to, I don't hate people, but I do hate crime. And if a criminal is going to attack and make my community less safe, I don't want them to be out and about in the community. It's not personal, but it's kind of a them thing, not a me thing. And I'm going to openly say that crime is not going to run rampant here. You have somebody like Ron DeSantis who comes out and says that. The clip that I just played here, Ron DeSantis coming out and saying, look at what this run amok federal government wants to do. Of all of the places to invest all of the money, that we are going to pay 87,000 people. That is a ton of people. That's like almost 2 Busch stadiums full of people. In government, where do we need them the most? The I-freaking-R-freaking-S? Are you joking me? No, you're not, because that's what these people do, and they are doing it boldly. This is not in the dead of night type of stuff. It's in your face type of stuff, and the only way that they get to do that is when the other side is so afraid to keep their mouth shut. Now, Donald Trump. I was talking to you about Donald Trump before we went to the break, and I said, this is how he fits in. Donald Trump was the original punch him back in the nose guy. He came on the scene, he said what he said, and he didn't apologize for it. Every other Republican that exists out there in politics is always trying to think of the most perfect, flowery, safe way to say what you say so that people go, oh, he's such a good guy. And, you feel like you can relate to him. You want him to be your dad or your grandpa or your boss.
Yeah, and paint within the lines.
Yes.
They were using the lines given to them by basically leftist culture and saying, well, I'm really good at staying within those, but also proving my point.
And meanwhile, you have the people from the left who are running for office sucker punching around every single possible opportunity, taking every dirty play that they can to try to win the game. I wish I knew hockey better. Who's the hockey player who does that? Who did that for Colorado?
Brendan
Nasim Kadri.
Brendan.
No.
Kadri. Yes.
Nasim
Kadri.
Kadri.
Kadri. Yes.
That's what I said.
You have a player on the ice who comes out and takes out your best player, and it's dirty, and everybody says it's dirty, but guess what? You don't have your best player, and Kadri's still on the freaking ice.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Kadri. Kadri and Patrick Leahy today are like, dude. it's a Thursday in August. Why am I getting crapped on by the Andy Frey show?
I was going to kick my feet up, listen to some Andy Frey show.
Now I got to put up with this.
And then he looks, he's like, oh, they're in St. Louis. I get it.
Yeah, Patrick Leahy especially. I just, you look around and you're looking for people who will stand up and fight back against a sucker punch. And in some cases, you know what? Beat them to it, because that's the only way that we're going to get this country back in order. Donald Trump did that. Now, let me preface what I'm going to say next with the did in that sentence. I don't know that he's able to keep doing it, because if it comes out of Donald Trump's mouth, it's Trump. It's the first thing I was going to say it's Trump first, but I don't mean that as like a policy. I mean, the first thing that anybody reacts to is the fact that it existed first with Donald Trump. And a lot of people can't get past that. Ron DeSantis can. Here's the other element to it. When was the last time we had a Donald Trump soundbite to play?
About 3 months ago.
I don't even know. He's not out there talking. The 75% of the industry isn't going to even allow him to speak. They've shut him up off of, like, you can't even, if there's a Trump video on YouTube, they shut down the channel.
Yeah, like they did to you.
Yes. If Donald Trump were to go onto YouTube, he can't. He's banned. They banned him from Facebook.
Yeah.
I think that they talked about potentially revisiting Trump coming back onto Facebook in January of 2023. I need to go back. I'm reaching into the archives there, but Facebook was going to reassess it, and it was curiously after the election.
I think they delayed. Maybe it was before the election, then they delayed it to January, or they delayed it past January now.
Regardless,
but either way,
Donald Trump. It's not that he's not speaking on these issues. There's no platform for him to go on. And if Donald Trump goes onto Sean Hannity's show and says some things, or Tucker or Jesse Waters, you have boxed in the amount of people. Granted, Fox News talks to the most people, but those are the people who are on Truth Social. And those are the people who are getting his hot takes as they come off of his phone, like they used to get on Twitter. Those people are there already. We have a country to save. And Donald Trump has been so unfairly marginalized in the system that we have right now. He's been taken out of the picture. He was a duly elected president of the United States of America. And he doesn't have the ability to have a voice because they've canceled him so much. He deserves vindication. He deserves, and the country deserves, for him to get his revenge, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't have to happen with him back in the presidency. But that's not the only way that it could take place.
No, that's the concern, though, is that all the things they've done to him, because he really can't go speak on major news, or if he says something, major news is going to take it and spin it however they want, or not cover it at all. But he can't go directly to people like he used to through social media, because he's been banned on all those platforms. The concern is that going forward, whether he's president again or not, doesn't even run, it doesn't matter. That right now, I think it was somebody on your show said this phrase, that he is a heat seeker. The missiles are going right now to him. It was Steve Cortez. That's who said that.
Yeah.
And I thought that is a very good point, that he's drawing all that heat right now. That heat's not going away, though.
Mm-mm.
So if it's
never going,
it
will actually outlive him.
Exactly. And so if it's not him, that heat's just going to go to the next person, DeSantis, or it's going to be spread out for all of us.
It's not going to be the same, though.
It won't be the same.
Ron DeSantis, as the president of the United States, he will have to earn the ire that Donald Trump has.
Yes.
And especially if Donald Trump blesses the Ron DeSantis pursuit for the presidency, which is, in my personal subjective opinion, the best path forward for the country. If Donald Trump is to bless a Ron DeSantis pursuit of the presidency, Donald Trump will still exist in a capacity that will cause people to obsess about his every move. And the way for him to continue to absorb the hit, I'm just here standing in the way because they're really after you. They will still have to focus their energy on Donald Trump. They don't have the resources to pour the 24/7 hatred into Ron DeSantis and Donald Trump. And if they decide, it's like in basketball. If you got a shooting guard, you go boxing one on them. You take the shooter out and you say, I'm going to put my I'm going to take my 4 against I'm going to take my best defender, put him on your best shooter, and we're going to play 4-on-4. And I got my best 4 on the floor, I think, are better than yours. So I'm going to take this girl out I'm coach girls basketball. I'm going to take everyone's like, girls in basketball. Yeah, it happens from time to time. Mm-hmm. And I support it. Girls in sports, just that's a whole different thing. If you have 2 people on your team that can shoot, the other team's in a much bigger heap of trouble. You can't focus all your energy on taking that person out. You have to have 2 people who can play defense and eliminate those 2 individual players. And Ron DeSantis and Donald Trump are very different people and could be incredibly successful in tandem. Ron DeSantis can come out and say, we don't want boys in the girls' bathroom. And everyone goes, yeah. Let's not do that. And then he affects the change that needs to happen. Donald Trump opens his mouth in front of a camera. Everybody loses their mind. He hasn't even got a word out yet. The fact that Ron DeSantis on the regular basis is out there saying the obvious things with abandon. He's just like, one day after the other, there's another DeSantis clip saying, we're not going to do that. What? That's not happening in Florida. We're not going to stand for this in Florida. Just imagine if he were to somehow, he won't, but if he were somehow to lose his governor's race in Florida, that's a fast track to the presidency for Ron DeSantis. He's not going to lose his race in Florida. And everybody's going to have to sit around and twiddle their thumbs and find out what's going to happen next and choose between Ron DeSantis and Donald Trump, which is why all that power, all that authority rests in Donald Trump's hands to make this an unstoppable force that is because of him. And I still think Ron DeSantis is the guy. But if it's Trump, I'm voting for him.
Strategically speaking.
Strategery?
What you're advocating for is about 15 to 16 more DeSantis governors.
Oh my gosh.
Because you couldn't stop it. I mean, that's kind of, some of that's happening. That's not entirely what's happening, but some of that is happening. I would refer to it as DeSanti in the plural. We need more DeSantis.
Could be DeSantis.
Yeah, I was going to say DeSantis.
Either way, whichever one. But that you're right. If you have clones popping up who are all on the same mission and they're able to do the same thing that these guys can do, there's no way to stop it. And that's the America First movement.
And when the federal government is in the midst of a pandemic and is putting out all this regulation and advisement from the CDC, and you live in a blue state like New York or a blue state like Illinois or California or Hawaii or any of these highly, highly deep blue governments, you don't live the same life as people in Florida.
Not anymore, you don't.
It is drastically different. Illinois has a chance to change that. Hope you're advocating, financially supporting, walking, and talking about Aaron Bailey in Illinois, because it's going to take every vote to beat J.B. Pritzker. You looked it up.
Yep, I looked it up. So this article is from June 4th of 2021. Facebook had a big meeting, and they announced that day that they would allow Donald Trump to be banned or come back on after 2 years of banning, effective January 7th, which January 7th, 2021 would take you to January 7th, 2023.
Deep in the archives.
Mm-hmm.
I got these things rolling around in my head. Yeah.
That's pretty impressive.
Until I'm wrong about something really important. That wasn't really like, there are things that I think all the time. I'm like, I think I know this. Can't say it out loud. This was not threatening if I got that wrong. Let's get to the YouTube poll. When we come back, Hannah's going to join us in the studio here. Which Democrat would be the worst president? And we're going in order of succession. Joe Biden, obviously the president right now. Kamala Harris, vice president. Nancy Pelosi, Speaker of the House. Or Patrick Leahy, president pro tem of the Senate. He's in line, folks, before the Secretary of State. New information to me. Go vote on the Annie Frey YouTube live chat and comment if you so choose. Hannah will highlight some of them when we come back. Go away.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show. Follow Annie on Twitter @Annie Frey Show.
I think I want to marry you.
The Mark Cox Morning Show.
A biological male decided to participate at the sorority rush at the University of Alabama. It was the sororities that pushed back. Jared Sesser.
He's not prevented from going to school there. He just is not going to be able to be in one of the sororities.
Weekday mornings 5 to 9.
The Closet Factory online at closetfactory.com. Oh, man, you sit down with them and start talking about the trouble areas in your house. Right now, we have in our house a room that it was constructed to be a formal dining room. And I know that you think that the Freys dine formally all the time, which is just actually not the case. We've turned it into an office/exercise room. But now I have 3 kids that are in school every day that are going to be having homework. I am thinking about having Closet Factory come in and create an office workspace that has a spot for each of my kids to be able to have their things, to sit down, to do their homework, customized exactly for our needs. The finishes that they can put on the customized storage that they put in, built-ins in your home around your entertainment center, coming in and fixing up your finished or nearly finished basement and providing you with the space that is customized to your needs. There's nobody better in the St. Louis area, this locally owned business, than the Closet Factory. They've done work in my house, and I encourage you to call them to potentially do work in yours. 314-961-4300, closetfactory.com.
There are a lot of smart business people out there making smart decisions by getting Rhino Shield. The latest one, the Central Illinois Care Services, they have decided to go with Rhino Shield on the outside of their building so they won't have to worry about maintenance from now on. The list is long. Joe's Tire out in Sullivan, Stonehill Wineries in Herman. They've all got Rhino Shield on their buildings. You can have it on your business or your house. Just call 877-25-RHINO. Let Darren come out and give you a free estimate as to what it would cost to get this great product on your home. 25-year transferable warranty, 100% waterproof, 8 to 10 times thicker than paint. And as a satisfied customer, 15 years in, I can tell you it looks as good as the day they put it on. You're going to love Rhino Shield. Call them right now. Tell them you heard about it on the Mark Cox Morning Show. Again, 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com.
If you haven't tried out Zero Res or it's been months since your last deep clean, then now is the time to call. Get your entire home Zero Resified from St. Louis's best carpet cleaner and get the KFTK Mark Reardon special. 20% off all cleaning services. Call 314-474-2020 or book online at ZeroResSTL.com.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling Studio. In addition to heating and cooling, Air Comfort Service also offers indoor air quality, water heater, and AeroSeal duct sealing services. Get in your comfort zone with aircomfortservice.com.
Information to keep you moving. Dependable traffic, mornings and afternoons with Sue Thomas. Driven by Ambassador Midwest Floor Company, the best way to deal with in-home traffic. Experience more at Ambassador Midwest Floor.
You keep saying you got something for me. Something you call love, but confess.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
You've been a messin'.
Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Frey Show.
And now someone else is getting all your best. These boots are made for walking, and that's just what they'll do. One of these days, these boots are gonna walk all over you.
Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. Man, this CDC stuff, I haven't even talked about it. Maybe I'll talk about it tomorrow. But the CDC is like, there were some things that could have been done better.
You know what, though?
Really?
I know.
Sorry, this is like, I got 5 minutes left to give to Hannah, and I'm like, oh, about that CDC thing.
Yes. But the problem is, from the articles that I've read, which who knows if I'm getting the full truth about that just from the articles I read or mainstream media stuff, but they're admitting that, yeah, there were some problems.
Don't get me kicked off of YouTube.
I won't. But the problems they're admitting are we didn't really act fast enough. Really? That's what nobody's complaining about that.
One of the clips I've pulled, Walensky saying we're going to ask for more power.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly
No,
right.
they're going, did you see what they gave the IRS?
Yeah, 87,000.
We need 87,000 people to carry guns.
We need
be
to
prepared
elevate our
die.
profile. People don't even know we're here.
Yeah, right. Yeah. CDC? What's that? I haven't heard of those guys.
Oh well, let's get back to Patrick.
Oh, well.
Patrick
All right.
Leahy. I did say that
YouTube
really
poll.
quickly. I said that like a Southern grandma. Oh well, bless her heart.
All right. Which Democrat would be the worst president? Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Nancy Pelosi,
Something about when you say it, it's funnier.
or Patrick Leahy? And I did have to look him up because I had no idea who that was.
You're
I
not
love it.
alone. You're not alone.
Of all the things that a 20-year-old is going to learn in the political world, the number 4 in line for the presidency.
Yeah,
Who's that guy?
what keeps you up at night?
People be
Patrick
going through
Leahy.
Hannah's search history like, this is not a 20-year-old girl's search history.
Looking for buying a Jeep at Cassins and trying to look up the auto loan calculator. And what's the search on Patrick Leahy?
Yeah. This isn't a 20-year-old. Oh well.
Oh, well.
Bless her heart.
Oh, well.
All right. 46% of the people said Kamala Harris.
46?
Wow.
Yes, that was my vote as well.
That's a solid vote. Really, any of these are solid votes. It's a great poll.
You really can't go wrong there, which means the country can't go right.
That's right.
Right.
We're 5 people deep before we get to Anthony Blinken,
Oh no.
who only makes me think of Robin Hood Men in Tights and Blinken.
Mhm. Oh yeah. Blinken. Yeah, he's shooting arrows. I don't know where he's shooting them.
It's kind of metaphorical.
It really is.
It's not really wrong.
It is.
All right. Following Kamala with 46% is Nancy Pelosi with 36%.
That's who I voted for.
I wonder if she's disappointed that she's not first.
She's paying attention. I'll tell you that.
15% say Joe Biden, and a whopping 3% said Patrick Leahy.
That's just Brad.
That's just me.
Brad's the only one who voted for Patrick
Well, I'm
Leahy,
right.
which is also kind of metaphorical.
He made it.
He's like, I can't get no respect.
Impassioned plea for him too.
I'd say most of the comments that I got today were saying that there needed to be an all above for the poll, but sorry about it. There's only 4 options.
It's interesting though that more people chose Kamala than Biden, because that says a lot right there. That they'd rather see him carry out the term.
Which is why he's still there.
Unless all those Pelosi votes were really just pulling from Biden. That's what happens in ranked choice voting.
Shut up. Nobody cares. It's the second time I've told you that this week. Hey, if you know, you know.
Yeah, good off the air stuff.
Brandon from YouTube says, this is the hardest poll in a while. They would all be awful for America. I agree.
You know what? I'm tired of all the people begging for an all of the above. We don't give trophies to everybody around here.
Yeah.
Whoa, tell them.
That's right. Yeah. Take this listenership.
I know. See, Elizabeth Warren should be in there.
Elizabeth
She's an
Warren,
option.
I mean,
Bernie Sanders.
1,000 people should be in there though.
Chuck Schumer.
Oh,
all fine. All good options.
Every one of those elicit the same reaction.
Maxine
It's
Waters?
Physical and visceral.
All terrible.
No, Chuck Schumer to me, if he were on the list, I might vote for him number 1. That guy is such a snake.
I think that
Your face when you said
I think that when it comes to politics and the positions they serve, that Chuck Schumer and Mitch McConnell are the same coin, opposite sides.
Mm-hmm.
Political wizards. I would almost actually maybe even put Nancy Pelosi and Mitch McConnell. People who understand exactly how the game is played with zero shame in playing it. When it's not popular with your party, when it makes it difficult for people down ballot, they do what they think is politically the best. And if people disagree with it, they don't care. They're just shameless in that way.
Let me pare this back a little bit because I'm talking specifically about how they look and make you feel when they laugh. When Chuck Schumer laughs.
I have a sound drop here. I have a sound drop here that says Hillary laughing, and I don't remember what it sounds like. Want to hear it?
Yeah, sure.
It's just a montage.
Might have nightmares tonight.
How long is that?
It's still going.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm Chuck Schumer. He reminds me of the Count, I think.
Well, when Mitch McConnell would laugh.
Are you laughing because you get it?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
When Mitch McConnell would laugh, he would just remind you of like a derp. But when Chuck Schumer would laugh, he would remind you of a fly rubbing those greedy little hands together before he eats your food.
What's that one gif of Mitch McConnell where he's looking straight faced and all of a sudden he moves into this smile that is what is that? What is that from? Is it real?
I think it's real.
Is it a deep fake?
No, I think it's just he smiled at one point and they zoomed the camera all the way in on him.
But I mean, he's like, it's like he was paying no attention and then someone said his name and he thought, oh, I should look like I'm happy. And it's just like somebody flipped a button, like the happy button, and his smile goes up. Do you have any comments here you need to read real quick? You read a couple, didn't you?
I did read a couple. If we're talking about laughs, though, I think Kamala's might be the worst.
Oh, you win.
Yeah, it's not good. Pete Buttigieg is in the line of succession somewhere, right?
I don't know. Transportation secretary?
Sure.
Maybe if he's the designated survivor.
Oh, man. I don't even want to talk about that if we're going to go conspiratorial. It is what it is. Stick around. The Mark Reardon Show is coming up next. A reminder that we put all of our show on our podcast. So please follow 97.1 FM Talk on the Odyssey app and subscribe to the Annie Frey Show podcast and the Annie Frey YouTube channel. Mark Reardon, right next.
Hi, guys. It's Andrew with Pine